It's crunch time at the 2026 US Poker Open. And with 2 final tables remaining, the Golden Eagle is in sight. Today, Aram Zobian returns with a chip lead for his 3rd straight FT. But in hot pursuit, high-stakes crusher Brandon Wilson on his heels, and on the short stack, Clemen Deng with a chance to shake up the overall series race. The Event 9 final table starts right now. Hello everyone, and welcome once more to another chapter in the 2026 US Poker Open. Another $15,000 no limit hold'em final table set to come your way from the PokerGO studio at Aria Resort and Casino, drawing ever closer to crowning the overall series champion. Yours truly, Ali Najad, alongside Brent Hanks, and 6 hopefuls helmed by the aforementioned Aram Zobian, who is trying to punch his way up and over Clemen Deng and company. Deng currently 3rd overall behind Osmus and Brock Wilson. That Golden Eagle is far from locked up by any of those top slots. Zobian knows a thing or two about winning the Eagle. A couple of years back, he was your US Poker Open champion. Brandon Wilson, he's a winner 18 times over at the PGT. He has made the final table, and here he is, 2.5 million, just behind Zobian. Deng, Seward, and Gierse all in a logjam at the back of the pack. And with an $18,000 pay ladder, you can expect that there will be some jockeying. 292,000 up top in this one. A little north of 50,000. Locked up is level 17. Gets underway, 20, 40, and 40, 100 dimes in orbit. Here we go.
I know that Zobian's the chip leader, and Brandon Wilson has a pile. Clemen Deng, the short stack, if he can find a way today with a victory, becomes the outright series leader.
I'll tell you what, we saw an unbelievable amount of resilience on display.
600,000.
As you see, Wilson just getting after Seward here. Queen 8 pipping the Queen 7. Was gonna say, Zach Brush, he just slithered his way into second when it looked like there was no world in which his short stack would be able to climb rung after rung. And so don't count Clemen Deng out. Not that anybody would be as poorly advised to do so. You see the chip denoms there, brought to you by Monkey Tilt, Nichols Quarters, 100Ks.
Well, if Brandon Wilson or Aram Zobian can seal the deal and pull out a victory, the best that they can do is move all the way up into 3rd place on the overall standings.
Yeah, the storylines are really getting thick.
It is starting to develop.
Regard. Seward obviously wants to go north with his ace-jack.
I was actually surprised with Zobian, knowing this is his 3rd consecutive final table. The best he can do is 3rd place overall. Take a look at Nick Seward, presented by GPI, THM, graduate, Ohio State University, the Buckeyes from DC, a young gun, 26 years old, and he has really started to make his mark on the live felt over the past couple of years. And yes, that's true, Ali. He did, in fact, graduate from Ohio State. Not a dropout, much like yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Brent.
Yes.
I actually don't wear it with shame, because in the poker world, it's kind of one of those things, it's a merit badge.
Yeah, badge of honor.
Not finishing. He's the black sheep. What's that degree doing for him?
Right.
What did he major in?
All in. All in.
Finance, I think.
Well, I would imagine that that's serving him well, as we see service from Zobian. Queen 10 suited.
All right, we good.
Asking Rheem for all of it. King 10 of hearts in great shape, unbeknownst to Chino, but he gets binned, and the
What's up?
luxuries of boss stack
All of that.
depth
Skip,
on
I
display.
skipped the first couple.
Yeah. right to it. Begin.
Just waited for good cards.
Out of Rhode Island is Zobian, founder of, I believe it's Natna Foundation, which dedicated to helping the lives of children.
I'll tell you what, yesterday he was at the final table, and of course the day before that as well, and actually bumped into him really briefly in the men's room, oddly enough. It's not going anywhere awkward.
Right.
And he was so kind. He just took a minute to say, hey, I really appreciate, when you're doing the commentary, been listening to you for a long time and whatever. And just
Wow.
the vibes on Zobian, about as positive as you could ever hope to maintain, considering the line of work that he's in and the mercilessness of it from time to time. Certainly not across the last 3 days, as we see a lack of mercy being
7-7.
shown to Clemen Deng's big. Queen 9 was always best, and Jack 9 was
0.5x.
never.
I thought the same.
Just a little bit more.
It's not to be.
7.1 million plus in career tournament earnings. High school, his last formal level of education for Zobian. And you
Is that
gotta
right?
appreciate, man, I mean, to be able, absent some of that higher education, which of course, less so today, I think, than maybe in my generation emphasizes the only means by which to become successful. For him to be able to post the results that he has, to be as talented as he is, and as disciplined as well, I mean, just makes it all the more impressive.
He's really going to work. Very active early, accumulating chips, putting a ton of pressure on all of these short stacks.
It
You know,
begins.
leafing through his bio further, he
It
wants
has
people to
begun.
understand how much work he's put in, both on the felt and, personally to help improve his mental game. Talks about lacking fear.
No fear.
Just can't be afraid to lose your chips or go broke. You got to put others to the test, he says.
80.
I guess he briefly went to college for finance,
Oh,
not unlike Seward, but he realized that wasn't going to make him happy. And his mind is mathematical. He says he's good at reading people. Game's always suited his personality.
hold on now, Ali. Here
Yeah.
comes Gierse. Look at this with aces, and Brandon Wilson has ace-9. This could get violent.
10 seconds.
Well, so far, just straightforward defense.
Really nice. Great start for Wilson. There was a world in which he could try and punish the short stack open, but does assign a lot of hand to Gierse. Of course,
Yeah.
we can see that is the case.
And this board texture should allow Wilson to stay out of any further altercation.
90.
90,000.
90K follow through from Gierse. Tidy lay down there.
You know, late last night for Gierse, as we take a look at the resume, you know, I believe he's German but resides now in Austria. Online grinder, heads-up specialist, won a title back in 2022. Really has been crushing the international scene. Late last night,
Yeah.
nearing this final table,
Okay.
the fellas were ordering dinner, and he wanted to get pad thai from Lemongrass, a lovely spot here inside the area.
Okay.
Said, what spice level? He said, the max.
Oh, come on.
I swear. And everyone at the table kind of looked around and said, are you sure? He threw his leg up on the table, pointed to his calf, where he has a giant tattoo of a chili pepper. The man loves spicy food. He wears it.
I'm actually a bit surprised because German cuisine not heralded for its spice.
Yeah. Well,
You know, we're talking vice versa, Spatzel, fairly bland things. Not a bland muck there from Seward, though. Like that. Little cinema. Seward does look a touch like a junior FBI agent who's been assigned to do surveillance here in the studio today. You know,
they might be. You know,
it's the look. You'll see it, right? On the
Yeah.
right of your screen. It's,
yeah.
If he talked into his sleeve at some point, I wouldn't be surprised, is all I'm saying. Also not surprised, of course, to see Zobian opening pots, this time with the sticks.
Is it still?
Legit kit.
Still German aces. Will never change.
7-7.
8-8 is Chinese aces.
Seeking his second U.S. Poker Open title. Aram Zobian. He's got 40% of the chips in play. He suffered some pretty dirty ones thus far. I know it's his third consecutive final table, but I would imagine somewhat disappointed with the outright
I'm a looker.
results. Chance, though, to seal the deal. We're in event number 9.
What's incredible is I had forgotten that Zobian final tabled the World Series of Poker
Feel so
main
sad
event
for
back in
Skinny
2018.
Winnie
Right? Finished 6th
and
for
Zach Brook. They
1.8.
both showed
Yeah.
up at 12.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
He was just
And I did the same last year.
22 or 3 at the
So I
time.
feel them. I feel them.
There has to be some every year. It's just gonna be the
They
case.
should get the full zero rig.
Yeah.
True.
Praise.
I like this Gierse kid. Did he play the National Heads Up Poker Championship? I believe he and Richard Seymour squared off last year.
Yeah,
And-
maybe that's where he's ringing a bell.
Seymour's the only guy I think maybe on the planet that could make Gierse just look like a little runt.
Yeah, sure.
10 seconds.
There's a little peek at Brandon Wilson's resume. Northwestern grad, certified yoga instructor.
Now
this
that I
one
didn't
we haven't
know.
talked about.
Is that real, or are we, you know, this
Are we
is
getting
like
trolled?
dolphin trainer all over
Right.
again?
Well, that was Jaffe.
Yeah.
Because these bios are filled out by the players.
Yes,
and
that's
I
what
think
concerns
they've learned
me.
that they control us.
Right. I'm here for it, by the way. Go ahead. Try and get one past us. No, look at this. 200 hours towards yoga and then taught yoga classes on Zoom.
Wow. Okay.
It's
wonder
also
he's so zen.
how he built his bankroll was teaching online yoga Zoom
He's
classes. I'm
got to
telling
be one
you,
of
it's
very
in
few
here.
yogis that have gone that route.
Which starts to now feel like maybe he's trolling.
Deng, by the way, no trolling here. This is
No 8-5-0. I
just a
fold.
straightforward ace-9 against a button open of a broad range. High V-pip chip leader.
Huge pickup for Dang, keeping him afloat right around 11, 12 bigs.
Well, pick yourself up off the couch, head over to the computer, the laptop, heck, even do it on your phone. I'm talking, of course, about Play Poker Go, where you can play online poker for free. Ring games, tourneys, no deposit spots or gimmicks, just pure authentic poker with special free rolls that run every hour on the half hour. Play now at playpokergo.com. Available on web, iOS, and Android.
I love the soundtrack we clearly have for that game. Did you hear the
Every
synthesizers
single
there?
time it comes on, unbeknownst to those at home, you in the booth take on a weird, you know when people make their cats look like they're playing the piano?
Uh-huh.
That's sort of the way your arms maneuver.
I don't do the air guitar. I do the air synthesizer.
The air keyboard. Yeah.
He did.
It's not air if you make the noise, by the way, so just, you know.
Okay.
And also, no one can hear you. Well, a little noise being made here by Chino Rheem's ace-jack of diamonds. Wilson hears him and answers the call.
Daddy needs to win a flip versus Uncle B. He's pulling the I got kids.
Call in and call. First one to this FT. Broadway draw on a king-queen-8 board for Chino. Aces and jacks will do the trick as well. Wilson's still in front, though.
I feel like you're going to get there on the turn.
Well,
Yep.
apparently Gierse knew something we
I
didn't.
love that for you. That was great.
The hook plants itself on the turn. Now Rheem just needs to fade a 3. And he makes it look easy. So a double for Chino Rheem. Leading
Here
out
comes Chino.
almost $20 million in career tournament earnings for Chino. It's really a tale of two lives, dare I say, for Chino, now so into self-improvement, health, and spirituality at 45 years of age. A papa, as you heard him say. Turned the corner. Now he's turned himself up to 29 bigs, 1.17. It's good for third. Still the Aram Zobian show for the time being. North of $1 million between he and Wilson, with Deng and Seward jacking at the back of the pack.
I'm glad he felt it. I wasn't sure.
There's Wilson's response to the 3s falling. Shake it off.
80.
Perhaps a cup of ashwagandha tea or a child's pose would help to process such disappointment.
What? What is what? What is
A
Ash?
downward-facing dog, maybe for.
Is this a? Are these all yoga references?
Yeah, sort of.
I don't know anything about yoga, which may surprise you.
You know, I broke up with a girlfriend once, and I wanted to get her back, and she was super into yoga. So I went to a yoga class, and believe it or not, it got her back briefly, but then when I made it quite clear the only reason I went was to get you back, and I'm not going again. Again, it unraveled. So I think I misplayed that one.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta let them go, man.
You know, you're right. You're right about that. You know,
I-
don't reach back into the mug.
I just can't see you being,
600,000.
romantically in love with someone that perhaps equally loves yoga.
Not really my jam, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
it's
had to
not.
learn that the hard way.
Right.
But you know, I thought you were going to suggest that you don't see me being romantically in love. Full stop.
Well, that, you know, that's also true.
Dude, come on,
I didn't
man.
wanna
I'm 2.5
say it.
years in.
Right. 2.5 years.
With Siobhan. She's awesome, dude. She's the one. Here's
Is this the one?
Hang on. Ace King.
Okay,
Is
this
that what
is
we're
the
referring
one.
to?
Yeah,
Come on.
certainly for Deng. That would propose right now.
Yeah, he's ready to walk the aisle. But he's going to take some small first steps toward doing so as he makes it 80, almost begging someone behind him to ask for the remainder. Not going to happen. You see Zobian with the high muck.
That was good.
Are you thinking about popping the question, Ali?
Man, it's sort of like it's just an implied understanding. We're old, bro. You know what I mean? We're common
I hear
law
you.
up. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Not old, however, is Clemen Deng. 27 for this little whippersnapper. Went to the University of Pennsylvania. Originally out of Portland, Oregon. Plays a ton of poker. You'll see him across all of the high roller stops, the tours. Outstanding rising star.
You know, anytime we bring these bios up, for those that did attend college, there is such a disproportionate number of occasions on which economics, business, finance, math, you know, computer science, things like that are just, I think that's the full basket, by the way. It's never like, oh, he was an anthropology major,
Yeah.
English major. No. The mind of people who gravitate towards such fields of study lends itself nicely to poker, and the big stack lending itself nicely to a snack. And Zobian's able to just throw his weight around right now. Well, there it is, the weight of Zobian's career. 80-time final table is 7 times he's planted the flag. Touched on that World Series of Poker main event, the bulk of the 7.2 in career earnings for the man who's enjoying 3 career 7-figure years. Don't mess with the Zobian. I get it. A little play off the Zohan.
Love it.
I'm into it. You know the one little tidbit that I left out when I was digging into his bio, and there's plenty more that we'll get to, is he hopes to inspire people that they can do whatever they want. And I know that sounds like, oh, okay, well, so wouldn't everybody want? No. Like, legit, when you've lived the life that he has lived, and you've, let's say, kind of overcome some odds in terms of maybe some people doubting that you'd be able to accomplish what you've accomplished somewhere along the way, I think you really take it upon yourself for those people that might be struggling with some confidence and some belief to say, no, man, trust me, if you put in the work, you can do it. Now, let's see if Deng's going to put his trust into these 2 6s. It's a Seward raise, by the way, to 200 off of a stack of 350 that's left him a little concerned.
Yeah, this is quite a spot for Deng. Obviously, Seward is committed to the hand. Deng now deciding, can I ever be in great shape?
Raise.
What we can see,
What
that
does
answer
mean?
is yes.
The min raise. The min raise.
The bet is 360. Okay, how much do you have?
I love that.
Bet 60.
I take credit for that one also.
Yeah.
So there's
low,
the
though.
360, which we believe is the
dealer figure
min
it out.
raise. Chino now doing the accounting. Does he want to dance with King Jack off?
Cool.
10 seconds.
You say cool?
Nope is the
That
answer.
sounded like call. Cool.
So
I had King Jack.
Seward is
First one,
covered
King
by
Jack,
Deng.
one
He's
paint. We're like, oh boy.
the only player other than Gierse that Deng covers. So that is the silver lining in case these 6s don't hold for Clemen. And for Seward, he's at risk of elimination in a 780K pot. Does find himself a 4 and a spade. Oh, and then he finds himself an ace. Not fully out of the woods. Must fade the 6. And does just that. So once more, the all-in player finding a double here is Clemen Deng now withers away to 145K, Brent.
Such a critical pot, clearly. And remember, Deng, with a win and only a win, you would be atop the U.S. Poker Open points leaderboard with only one event remaining. That's that one's gonna sting. Now left with just, I'll call it 3 bigs and change.
Well, Seward, 780 now, near 20 bigs. Feeling a lot more comfortable than he was before that one. Ace 3 suited now.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was there.
Seems that
Sorry
Gierse
about that.
folded out a turn unintentionally. Seward folding under the gun. You surprised by that one?
I think just because of all those shorter stacks, it's pretty tough out of position with ace-3 off. Of course, we're opening under different dynamics, but no, it seems reasonable, Ali. Throw
Also,
it in the hopper.
Zobian behind him and Brandon Wilson in the big. Not just the shorter stacks to consider, but the bigger ones as well. You see Aram go to work with 10-6 suited. Host of diamonds into the bin, along with the stone worst starting hand in poker, a 7 deuce. So it's just been clean and cozy for Aram Zobian on the day. You know, he started playing when he was 15.
Is that legal?
I don't know if it was like in casinos, Brent, but you know, it's when he learned to play low stakes private games. I feel like I was in high school right around 16 when I first played with a group of friends
yeah.
on Friday nights. They'd
Yeah.
come over to the house and, you know.
There's no crime there, you know.
No.
It's the way
was
it should
penny
be.
ante, you know.
Lawnmower money.
There you go. Did you used to mow some lawns?
Oh, of course.
Brent?
$25 a yard. And
not the not the unit of measurement yard, but the actual, like the entirety of your yard.
Well, that's where people really started to take advantage of my service, and I'd show up with my push mower, and turns out it's 6 acres. You know,
Yeah.
that $25 was a great deal.
Half right. Half correct.
We got a little doppelganger
Oh,
submission
wow.
here. Is that now? That's a young Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Because as I recall, there's a tattoo on the chest up toward the throat missing. And I see it.
Oh,
I see it. Hat
absolutely
tip
see
to the
it.
booth, or the control room, I should say. That they nailed it on that one.
They certainly did. I absolutely see it. And shout out Brock Lesnar, the Beast. Ali, I'm not sure if you caught this at the most recent WrestleMania, but
Was he there?
oh, well, he was. And not only was he there, he retired. At the end of his match, he was defeated. Took off the boots, gave Paul Heyman a hug in the ring, and that was it. The end of Brock Lesnar's career.
Well, or perhaps the beginning of another career. I suspect we could see him in some film and television. A lot of WWE guys go that route.
By the way, did you know that Lesnar
10 seconds.
at one point,
On.
keep an eye on this hand, by the way. Seward obviously 3-betting with the 2 9s. And it is, in fact, heads up against Deng. All in for his tournament life, and
Be
we'll
a
put
trade.
a bow on it with Brock Lesnar momentarily.
Yeah, I confess, I'm sort of waiting with bated breath.
It's good. We'll get there. I just, Deng, time to shine.
It's not looking so shiny right now. 8-8 king, the A7 in trouble. Might Seward be moving up another peg? Yes, indeed, as the 9 on the turn sews it up. Deng drawing dead and out of here in 6th, just like that.
What could have been for Deng had he won today, as already mentioned, would have been #1 on the outright leaderboard. But, a 6th place finish, that's very few points. It doesn't really change much.
Breathing a sigh of relief, by the way, are, of course, Brock Wilson and Jeremy Osmus, as they would much sooner see Clemen not put together a big haul of points to make lives more difficult as they jockey for the overall series championship. Not to be overlooked, of course, Zobian here at his 3rd straight final table. If he were to win this one, pick up north of 200 points, then he would position himself to potentially be able to win the whole thing,
Absolutely.
provided, obviously, that Wilson and Osmus don't make a deep run in our 25K finale. And he does. Meanwhile, Ace-3 rips into Zobian and takes it as Gierse has inherited the chip lead.
We'll call
Sorry,
him the Beast,
the short
I
stack.
think, by the way, Gierse. I think it's a fitting nickname. You've earned it. You are the Beast. Marius Gierse. And by the way, what I was saying about Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Not only, of course, did he have a legendary Hall of Fame career in WWE, did you know he also had moved over and transitioned into UFC and
I remember he did some
won a
UFC.
title, I believe, with UFC, and then came all the way back to WWE
Yeah,
after that.
You hear these things as we see Wilson with an ace-king go to work about the, pain med addictions, and it's hard on your body, in WWE. I think if you go to the UFC,
Yeah.
it'll give you a little perspective about perhaps what pain might actually feel more like.
I don't know if he felt pain there. He just beat the crap out of everybody.
Big
Can I
dude.
get me something? Can I get like a pana, please? Thank you.
Zobian looking to beat down this open of Wilson, but his hand more than durable enough to fade this. Of course, these two are not supposed to be getting after one another. Let's see how Wilson responds.
10 seconds.
Could this be one of those exceptional occasions on which the ace-king doesn't put in a 4th scoop?
Yeah,
Right?
it is really painful and awkward, but I just think you have to rip it. And he does decide to go with it.
Yeah. And he's so relieved that Zobian
First time to
folds.
play against each
Yeah.
other, right? Like at this final table?
Yes. I think so.
Including yesterday.
Yeah.
First
They,
one
they
they
didn't,
play is
they didn't
all
play
in
ahead
pot.
yesterday.
Well, potentially.
For Zabist, as we will call him now. By the way, he's played every
That
event.
was one card in that hand.
Max bullets.
Tell me one card they had in
Over
that hand.
the entire series until this very final table.
Only because we're going to know
Finally.
later anyways.
Ace.
I mean,
Huh?
I don't think that's going to put him in the black.
Well, probably not. But
They
you know,
said
maybe a
eights.
W.
Could be sevens.
I doubt it.
He just said, fuck it. This is my.
145.
Rheem, his turn with an ace-king, makes it 145. Wilson with the defendable jack-10.
10 seconds.
In comes the 105. Top pair and an open ender here for Wilson. Really poor texture for Chino's ace-king. He wastes no time coming off the throttle. Both players very mindful of Gierse with that 400 there. And this new ladder, which is 23,000 between the 68.6 on lockup and the 91.5 for fourth.
10 seconds.
80.
Truly terrible texture for Chino's hand. And the down bet of 80K is,
10 seconds.
it looks to me like it may lure in Chino for another street that you just never know. He's so good with the presence, the posture, the poise, handling those chips. There, finally the call. Oh,
My goodness.
hello.
I mean, just a spectacular turn. Granted, it comes in heart form. I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I know it was just 80 into that
Thank you.
330,
That's from you right now.
but
Thank you.
absent a heart in hand.
10 seconds.
You could see worlds in which Chino would be a little bit more apt to not peel in that spot. And with a check back on the turn from Brandon, the door is open to Chino if he wants to look for value, which he doesn't, and Brandon in turn does not either.
Really,
So
really surprised that Chino just checked river.
maybe he thinks he can induce a value bet from Brandon.
I think so. That was the plan, but yeah.
Well, if you're into this US Poker Open, we've got just the thing for you. An online version running now through April 26th. Get in on the action with daily tourneys, big guarantees, and a chance to win a Vegas prize package. Don't miss it. It's the US Poker Open online at globalpoker.com.
Looks like a pre-flop.
Yes. He gets it out of me like no other.
Zobian suited and
But
connected.
at least it's
You knew that on the flop. He snapped check river.
Bad call, Chino. Bad call.
Good time to say hello to our audience, Mr. Najad. Everyone out there on our PokerGo YouTube channel or whatever platform you're on.
Just a generic hello, Brent?
Just a, thumbs up, like, we're here. I've got the chat open. I know Ali. Also, wow, maybe for the first time, I'm seeing him with the
Not
chat open.
true.
He's in here.
I've always got it open.
Ready
May
to
not be
mess.
the active tab.
Look at this. The mallards going wild. We've got an all-in.
Yeah, Gierse in the big. King 10 of hearts deemed durable enough,
is
so
it?
the short
What?
stack
Deuces.
will square off
like
against
a
the
flip
man
for
that
me.
once upon a time
flip.
held that honor.
Fake flip?
It
This is a very real flip.
He's a favorite.
This is a very real flip.
Yeah.
Is it a fake flip? I think I have a good hand. He has, I think he has a good hand.
Okay.
It's not like you have ace king and someone
Sorry.
forward rips deuces
Player,
into you.
player hand, guys. Sorry.
Well, the flip is
It's
not
not a
looking
fake
so
fucking
flippy
$10.
anymore.
What's that?
This is not a fake flip.
This is a very real flip.
A fake flip is
Oh.
if someone
Fair enough.
Ouch.
punch into you.
I'm alright with this.
It's if someone funds.
Yeah.
Seward.
Like 5-bet rips into you, like
Yeah,
let's say
diamond.
pocket deuces.
Now
And you
I
have
know-
ace king
now
suited.
I know.
Then it's
Gierse
a fake
seems
flip.
more
Now I know why Maymonio is.
intent on ironing out the definition of a fake flip. What he needs to be intent on is making sure
right.
the river is safe, which it is, perhaps never a doubt.
60, right?
And
Yeah, that sounds right.
Marius inverts things between himself and Seward.
Now Seward, as you pointed out, left with right around 12 bigs, our shortest stack.
Well, there's a lay of the land with Gierse, 19 bigs, Seward with 12. On the cusp of lacking playability is Nick. Chino somewhat handcuffed in midfield if Zobian carries on with his aggressive ways.
Chino time.
Seven's enough for him to break out the open. Let's see if ace-4 of hearts is enough for Seward to pile.
10 seconds.
Plays. Gonna make a really nice fold with that ace-4 suited. I know the land of the solvers prefer that type of hand, that holding, but
Oh, wow. Bottom set for Chino here. Zobian wanted to take a peek, but King 8 pretty divorced from this texture. So snap, check, fold.
I love this redemption sort of era for Chino. You talked
Then it's
about
30
the
minutes or what?
rough past,
What do you get?
the adversity.
Yeah.
Now just living a clean, sober life dedicated to his son Leo at home. Not celebrated often enough. You know, those types of stories, at least in my opinion, Ali. But we have a tendency to really want to dwell and hang on to the negative scandals, if you will.
Yeah.
Rarely do we talk about
You have like 2 stacks, huh?
what's happening in poker with various players that's positive and comeback stories, I guess.
Yeah. I think I'm very apt to do so when it comes to my attention. I'm certainly a fan of doing that. Eight, 9 of spades now for Zobian. Chino not in the mood with the queen 6 off. Just looking out at 740 and 485
Got a
respectively
Short stack and a big stack.
for Gierse and Seward.
It's like the reserve.
No reserve.
Hi. Hello.
Hey, style.
Up go the blinds. Bad news for the shorties. As their stacks get thinned out.
They'll be all right.
Not the biggest hop, you know, but, you know.
Yeah, be okay. I've got faith. I know what it's like to have a short stack.
What
You are under the gun.
what are you referring to,
That
pray
was
tell?
very-
No, just, you know, less than average, you know, chips.
Okay.
1-5.
Because, you know, you do the self-deprecating thing.
There's a way to find
Right.
a winner.
What? In what? It's whoever has all the chips in poker. What were you referring to?
No, I'm talking about, you know, short stacks
Yeah.
overcome the odds all the time.
Yeah. It's not the size of the stack. It's what you do with it.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Boy. Poetic.
Yeah, sure.
Not all of us are born with a giant silver spoon.
Is that your
We gotta
perception
really
of
earn
me,
it.
Brent?
Some of us blue collar.
Yeah. You think I was born with a giant silver spoon? It was gold, Brent. Don't be an idiot. Not true, man. Very humble upbringings.
Oh, I saw a picture.
And the minute I was able, I ditched all that humility.
This, the other one.
Is that the other?
Yeah, these two.
It's not true. Come on, stop.
It's so true.
It's not. Come on. I just like cars, dude. What's wrong with that?
Cars, airplanes,
Yeah,
Michelin, restaurant. You name
I
it.
like the finer things.
No,
I wouldn't regard
trust me,
10-9 offsuit as among them, but
No.
in particular when you're up against ace-9. But here we are, and suddenly the tarnish finds luster on a jack 10-6 board. Middle pair. Check to a third club turn. Neither player with a flush draw.
See if Zobian decides to activate.
I mean, I think he suspects that Chino's going to be playing pretty straightforward, honest poker against him here. Does not barrel. You see Chino not looking to mess with the bull and potentially get the horns as 2 10s become 3 on the river.
This might also just kind of be the best path for Zobian to get value. Is one street territory. Had he bet turn, Chino may have just mucked. Now the power of ace high. On this type of run out as played, Chino could be very curious. Tell Zobian, you know, show me a winner, so to speak. Let's keep an eye on the sizing now. How much does Zobian want to bet with his 3 10s?
170.
Yeah, well, this is a problem for Chino. 170, what a price. We beat a lot of bluffs with ace high.
I think you're winning, man.
He just knows Zobian's range is so wide.
Yep.
Got it there?
Time extension.
It's really well done
I
by
have nothing.
Zobian.
I'm just stubborn right now.
That stubbornness could be profitable. Can Chino listen to his gut here? Snatch this $500,000.
Time extension.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Going through multiple extensions.
Yeah.
And for good reason. He's got a hunch here.
For this spot, I think he's laughing at himself. Why am I using all these
So much time with
extensions?
Nothing, y'all. Dead
Yeah.
ass, dude.
I think he's going to find this call. He's on the fence. Oh, no!
Great fold.
What did you have?
You have a queen in your hand? I had nothing. I had ace high. Obviously, I had nothing. Obviously, I had nothing.
You know, I said, oh, no, as though he folded the winner. But
Anything?
it felt so much like he wanted to make that call.
He did.
Value bet ace king.
You did? No, you didn't.
That would be sick.
That would be sick. Ace king is fucking good.
You'd be sad.
I would be sad. I would be sad.
No ace king.
King queen.
I think Zobian said enough.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to tell him. No,
Right.
3 10s, man. Good fold.
Don't let him off the hook.
Yeah.
Let that pot live in your opponent's
Could've
mind
just
rent
thrown
free.
a Yellow, it's still one chip.
I got nothing, man. This is nothing.
It didn't occur to me that
The patented
blinds.
minimum chip.
I
Yeah.
saw how many big blinds they had, and I just was still playing big blind 40K in my head.
You did the raise thing, except it was one chip.
So yeah, throw out a blue and then swap back a
Bill Klein here bright and early. What a guy.
Got Billy Klein here. Love it.
Allegedly. That means we probably got one of his patented walk-ups.
Oh, can't wait to see it.
But if
only
he's
gave
here
you
too
170.
early, maybe the camera crew's not there to receive him.
I don't know. It was, I believe, a delayed start for the final event per usual. They start them later in the
Would've sent
afternoon.
a postcard.
And then, by the way, for us tomorrow, I
Thank
believe
you.
our final table
You just said thank you
will
now.
start an hour later than normal.
Huh?
Maybe.
Maybe. Or would I have been happy?
I'll tell you on break.
You could tell me now.
I can't tell you.
Why not?
So you're a fisher.
I'm a fisher for the info.
Yeah.
Facts.
Very good at it.
That I am. That I am.
You and Steven.
Steven is just the master.
Steven's the best.
Watching the FBI videos on YouTube and stuff. They're like, don't ask the question, make the comment. Let them reveal.
On.
Only 10 sessions.
Queen Jack suited. Our qualifier here for Seward. Gets through Gierse
First card
and
is queen.
Zobian, both of whom were doing good
Second card is.
in terms of
Not so different.
dominant
queen.
Jack and then
Wait, the big
dominant
blind-
diamonds.
How much money you got? 3 what?
360.
Got 7 big blinds.
260.
No. Wait, what's Chino?
7?
7.2 if we're calling out his
I love-
back, bro.
I love how
You
Gierse.
shouldn't do this, I don't think.
Yeah, and Zobian's on him too. He goes, "Hey, he has 7 big blinds." Maybe in an effort to make it
I
seem
don't
like
look at stacks.
you should make the call.
I'll just look at that. I hope the thing is not malfunctioning.
Well, this would be a gamble. The Queen 5.
He's in bad
No, we're
shape.
gonna keep you on the 10, I guess. We're gonna keep you on the 10. Maybe I should gamble. For real. For real.
Is he? No way.
10
No way.
Look at the odd relationship he has with his hand. Looking at it, kind of like, well, don't want to go upstairs with you. No,
Yeah.
I'm good.
No, you just
thought we were
went
at
back
40?
and forth so many times.
How live is Queen 5 hearts?
I wanted you to gamble.
Yes!
You had Queen 5?
Of hearts.
Chino
You were fishing for a bad beat there. Put a bad beat on my boy. Thinking about
down to 1.3. Here's how he and the crew showed up for the FT. There's Seward. Wired headset. There you go. You don't want those radio waves in the head. Okay. Here's
Zabis.
those lead bricks in his backpack, by the way, just as a workout. There's Wilson, Steely, Clemen, caffeinating, perhaps a tea of some sort. There's Zobian. Namaste, my brother. Here's Chino. Oh, timeout.
Oh,
Hang
yeah.
on.
Line it up. Line it up. Give it a
And
rip.
Nice.
Not
Was that a
bad.
driver or 5 wood?
Pretty good form, really. Didn't know he was a golfer.
You ever get out there? You haven't gotten out there with him? You do
no,
a bunch of golfing.
I've played twice this year. Total.
You know, you have less time now.
I have way less time.
And with way less hand here, Chino once again in one of these deliberator spots. but he takes less time with the sixes
Oh, what
against
is
the
that?
Gierse near
Ace
all in
five.
than he did in any other spot. And
Oh,
Wilson
man.
with an ace-5 also
I picked up the queen
choosing
seven.
to fold.
Chino is
Was
3
it?
for 3 in those
Huh?
what you would call weird spots. All correct folds.
If you folded jacks, then no.
Under sevens.
You had better than me?
Ah, yeah, I had better than you.
That felt like one of the classic like tight fold comment spots. It just never came.
I said, wow.
What do you guys think? I don't think it's unethical to say how many big blinds someone has displayed right
It
there.
100%.
I don't think
100% is.
If
Double.
there would not be this thing, 100% I agree. But since there's this display, I
But
don't
he's
think
not
it's
asking
unethical.
you. You can't share information about his
people aren't
stack or
showing
anything.
anything.
I think it's pretty clear.
What? What's the problem? What's the issue?
It's not a big deal. It's just
I mean,
No,
that I said how many big blinds he has.
I think
Because
it's
right.
completely reasonable. I don't-
Okay.
okay.
it's on the
Forget
display
it. The
right
guy in the hand said it's reasonable.
I mean, I don't
Right.
care for me, but like maybe other
What do
people
you
might. But I don't really
You
care.
also,
It's-
he was
it's right
talking about
there.
my hand. You remember yesterday? I called the button and Zacky's like, oh, he has queen 10 probably. All of a sudden they're like commenting on my hand class in game.
That was pretty. Yeah,
That was a little
that
crazy.
was a lot.
But Zaki was just making comments about it.
Oh, he was, yeah.
I just said
He was
that I wish I had
talkative,
Jack
no.
10 before the hand, and then it comes Jack 10x, and then
800,000.
see, Jack 10 is good.
800.
Discussion centering around whether or not there was something unsporting about Gierse announcing Seward's all-in sizing when Chino was in the tank with that queen 5 of hearts, and some differing opinions. Zobian on
Ace
the
five
side of
off,
the
I'm
fence
out.
that I confess I lie on as well, which is
What is it?
best
Ace
not to
eight
comment
against
on the
ace
hand in
six.
any way, shape, or form, or the chips. And Gierse defending himself by saying it's right there on the screen. But if a guy's not looking at that screen, why do you need to call attention to it? Meanwhile, calling is Wilson. And ace 8 is going to have his attention. Other way around, by the way. Apologies. This was
Yep.
Low
Wilson
card turn,
jam.
say
Seward
otherwise.
calling
Like
it off.
5 of clubs.
10-10-9 board, providing some pathways to a
Yeah.
chop. As it stands, it is a carve up. Both players
Now
with clean
Brandon wants to go
opportunities
hard
to
on the
win.
river.
Seward with more of them, and instead, it's another queen. So, uneventful altercation there. You got an opinion, Brent, on whether or not I move all in, you're not in the pot,
Sort of just
someone else is thinking about it, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, he's 7 big blinds.
probably not supposed to say anything.
I think
just
I'm
in
with
case
you,
the
Yeah.
the calculations are being done incorrectly by the guy deciding in the tank. If it was me, I would never get that math right. So I get it.
Well, it's time for you to get it. And what am I talking about? Of course, PokerGO merch at our PokerGO shop. Official apparel from your favorite shows, including High Stakes Poker and No Gamble, No Future for a limited time. Get 15% off with code USPO26. Visit shop.pokergo.com and elevate your poker wardrobe. That hat there that everybody's been asking about is for sale?
I think some sort of iteration of it is available.
So
in
not
the
the
shop.
official? You're suggesting it's like a replica?
What I was told is that hat right there on Chino's head, that is the official final table hat for those who do final table a U.S. Poker Open event.
So it wasn't part of a swag bag.
Correct. If you make a final table, you get that hat.
Okay.
That's what our CMO, Donnie Peters, pointed out to me.
Okay.
Now, will that mean that some of these hats will, be available in our shop in the very near future? TBD. But I'm told there is a newer U.S. Poker Open hat currently available.
Okay, but I mean, we
Yeah.
could end up with a surplus of the final table hats, and then what
We
would
could.
we do
Well,
with them?
eBay, you and I go to work.
Yeah.
We'll add that to our business that you and I have worked about called,
Right.
the Right Whites, I
We've
believe.
proven okay, pause on so many fronts. As Chino Choose on an ace-jack of spades. Doesn't do so for long, though. Ripping it over the top of the Wilson Open, and the King 10 crumbles. Now, not only am I not involved in any business on the side with you, I certainly am not involved in anything named whatever that was.
No, I've had a proper evaluation done for the underwear company that you and I are a part of.
We're not a part of that, though.
Bringing back the whites, the tidy whites.
I'm not into that either.
And looking at about a $2 billion valuation. This is
like 100 squat or
major
crunch
opportunity.
Things, you know, dead hang, 60-second dead hang. Did you work out?
Yeah.
I want you to think about how many people are in the world.
Yeah, like I don't like
that are male
through these kind of sets.
On.
Okay.
It's very important to be able to take the time between
high
sets and
percentage
get a good one.
do in fact wear underwear.
And an even higher percentage would love for you to just abandon this whole idea.
We only have to convert
Right.
roughly 5%.
You know what? You should. I know a guy. We'll get you on Shark Tank, Brent. In fact, I would love to do that.
Is that right?
Because every now and again, the producers, they need to lead a lamb to slaughter. And nothing would bring me greater joy than having Mr. Wonderful advise you to take that idea behind the woodshed.
No. When
put it
you
out of its
wear
misery,
the right whites,
call
you
you a
lead a
cockroach.
lamb to pasture.
No.
It's never been
First off,
softer.
why are you
Ale.
wearing tidy whities and out on a pasture with lambs? That's
It's all part of the marketing.
yeah.
What a commercial that would be.
No, it's
You would be in the commercial.
I'm not. No, that's the thing here. See, a little advertising from Chino on the button. 10-8 of hearts. Seward suited and connected, so we'll play one post, and he is lean on chips. Over 10% of his remaining 460 coming in the form of big blind defense and ace jack. Certainly not what he had in mind. Chino with a very casual c-bet and take.
By the way, do you think that, of your personal opinion and business opinion, the right whites, does that sound political?
It sounds like a supremacist group, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know, Sunday crossburners. This
Might
is really the image I get.
Rethink the name of
Yes,
the company.
I think you should. And also rethink just the actual company. You know, going to the naming part was taking it further than I think it really warranted. You know, I don't think Haynes is going to acquire. Oh, hang on. Acquisition imminent
Yes.
for Gierse of at least this 100K that Zobian has put out there.
What a spot to, out of the big blind, you can just call. He's going to be calling with a wide range of hands as the short stack. Amazing. Oh.
Top set versus top pair. The double is all but assured, but I don't want to speak too soon because that 5 of spades is relevant on this board, but certainly a real lion's share of the equity belonging to Gierse.
It's just a dream scenario. Defending out of the big as the short stack. The case ace hitting the flop.
95.
Still trapping Gierse with the check call, wants to extend rope. Doesn't really want to see a card like that just in case some Broadway combos have picked up a gutter. He checks. Zobian now drawing dead.
Drawing dead, but probably thinking that maybe Gierse could be quite queen heavy. Right? When you have the ace top pair, you don't suspect that Gierse really has many. As we can see, it's all of them. I think Zobian can get himself into a ton of trouble. Deciding, should I charge what could be queen X for the remainder of the stack. Yeah, he's going to go with it.
So Zobian
What do I need here?
is going to send 370 Gierse's way. Gotta appreciate the gallows humor. River is of no consequence. Let's do the accounting and move on with it. And credit to Marius, as he made the max. Had a little help from the deck, obviously.
Yeah. Zabist now up over 20 bigs, 24-ish to be exact. Right back in the thick of it.
320, 370.
Wait. He's missing one there.
Yeah, that's why I come to 3.
Oh, 320. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at Seward, by the way. He's going to have a little snack at the final table.
I'm just telling you, the vibe, the Agent Seward, you know, UC operation, it just grows stronger in my mind. I know we're supposed to be focused on Gierse with the double.
This really changes everything for
At least
Seward,
with a
though,
king
too,
jack,
right?
yeah.
No one else is
Makes me feel
short.
better.
He's
No.
the only one. You know, it's go big or go home. Find a spot. There will not be any tight folding.
Grace.
Raise 100.
Yep, right away.
King, queen, it will be go time for Seward on the puck versus this min raise.
On.
All in declared.
All.
Nothing bruised in the blinds. 1-9 in the bin, along with a king. And it's 2 overs against the pair. Advantage Rheem. Not by the widest of margins. But if you're Seward, you'd certainly rather have it the other way around. Forgive
How
the
you feeling about
obvious.
this, Sticky Nicky?
Yes.
Feel good about it.
His
I'm
back
not sure.
is up against the wall.
I always
Says he
feel
feels good about it, but maybe not so good now.
The issue.
Ace 5 deuce.
I feel
But
pretty
you got a
good about
powerful
it now.
hand, king queen of hearts, man.
Cannot counterfeit 9s on that board after the arrival of the ace, and you cannot continue unless you find a king or queen, Mr. Seward. Is it in your future? No, it is not. And another fallen soldier on this battlefield, this time Nick Seward, KIA. 68-6
Hey, brother.
for the 5th place finish. Zobian there to show a little love for his comrade.
Leo, Daddy loves you.
Gierse just quickly pushing his chair out of the way and moving over.
Move.
Yeah, it was it lacked empathy, didn't it? You are finished. Please relocate. 23 bigs. Gierse inheriting the small stack duties. 15 bigs back of Brandon Wilson. As Chino moves north of 2 million. Daddy loves you declarations there, perhaps looking to appeal to the poker gods who have secured 91.5 for he and
I
his
had one of each
3
there,
table
king,
mates.
You raised.
spades.
37K, let's call it, the hop from here to 3rd.
Well, we've got a lot of depth now. Gierse, the shortest
Last
stack,
guy,
but
see?
he's got
I'm
more than
putting him
20
to good
bigs.
use at
I think
least.
we're, no more of this
Yes.
all-in festival.
Check.
Let's play a little poker.
Well, we're going to do so in the form of a limped one. Blind versus blind. King 5 was ahead pre, no longer the case on a 9-4-3 board where Rheem has a middle pair.
50.
Flicks in a position bet with pace.
Check.
Quick check back after Zobian peeled. And that allows Aram to bink a king and presumably look for value.
Absolutely.
200.
It's another guessing game for Chino. He was right the first time on the river against Zobian. Can he go 2 for 2 and get away from this 4? Nope.
King.
Flesh wound, but a wound nevertheless, as he pays off.
Button's good.
First wrong decision he's made that
Yeah.
we've seen in terms
Yeah.
of a spot that he was thinking about.
It's hard to bat 1,000.
That it is. And you know what? It's funny. I know your intention wasn't to turn it into a philosophical discussion, but I know I've been guilty of perfectionism and obsession with, you know, getting every single spot right at the table. And it can really cause you to miss out on value. You know, in particular, you look up at a scary board and you're not really taking the time to narrow the range of your opponent's hand properly and make a determination as to whether or not you can find a value bet, you know. And look, sometimes you just gotta, you risk getting check raised, you know, or take a chance and raise yourself that maybe you're gonna get 3-bet in these games, and that's all right.
Yeah, and these guys, for the most part, don't really miss. If there's value to be had, they often find it.
8's valuable enough on the button. And Zobian would have been willing to open. Less than that. They are hanging on against Wilson's ace high, which is unimproved on the king high rainbow flop. See bet and take for Zobian. You know, his brother's playing these days as well, Brent, and Aram's
Really?
actually happy about it because the two of them being on opposite coasts doesn't really get as much time to see him, and that's been one of the ways to kind of bring them closer together.
Little bro, big bro.
It's his little brother.
Little, and playing, when you say East Coast, just sort of smaller.
Well, he's from
tournaments?
Rhode Island, you know, originally. I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly where his brother's living now, but he's been playing for a couple of years. Who knows? When you got a mind like Aram's in your corner, I imagine getting good and doing so quickly could very much been in his future.
Call.
$175.
Look at Wilson's Jack 7 of spades being dressed down by an offsuit 6-7 from Gierse, who is showing fight here. Maybe sensing that Wilson's limping range is going to be less limp 3-bet than limp call. This opportunity to take the betting lead, and of course some limp folds maybe mixed in. Spade draw versus a gutter on the King 9-5 board.
When's our break?
Not sure.
You gonna make me wait till the break? You're not gonna tell me right now if you had it on
What's that?
the Jack 10-5-5 thing?
150.
I was gonna call you at 8.
This is unorthodox. Wilson leading right
I'll
out
tell you half my hand. I had a 9.
on this texture, and it's thrown Gierse for a bit of a loop. Just quickly out of the way, which I love that, honestly, from Gierse. No,
Yeah.
this is okay. Something's off, something's strange.
Yeah.
I just have a gut shot.
It could be. I'm just saying, like, doesn't have to be serious.
If he hit the
You know.
8 of spades variety, he was just dead.
What, 9-10 of spades?
Oh, because you blocked the
I blocked.
one.
I had ace 9
Oh,
hearts.
it's decent calling hand then. Block ace 10, block 10-9 suited, 10-9 offsuit.
one of the fastest rising
sorts of blockers.
stars
What if I
right
bet
now
215?
playing the biggest buy-ins is Brandon Wilson.
So
More than
170?
5.2 in career
Didn't
earnings.
matter. What if I bet 60?
And really
you know?
just started
You
coming
decide
onto the
call
scene.
60.
Call it 2024.
60, stubborn call. $110.
Right.
Wilson at it again with an ace-4. Picks up Zobian's big blind. Aram picks up top pair on the 9-high board, well in front of Wilson.
You know, if you don't want to take my word for it, Ali, or yours, you know, talking about Brandon Wilson, Daniel Negreanu loves this kid. Just thinks he's so talented, and,
Yeah.
and he's right, by the way. Everything he has seen from Brandon Wilson, absolutely loves the kid's game. He's got all of the fundamental theoretical stuff down, and he also has that intuition, the things you can't teach, the it factor.
Yeah.
Wilson's got it all.
By the way, Zobian's got it all as well. I'm not talking about this hand with the top pair. Granted, Wilson has picked up a wheel draw facing this 210 after checking back. But very much the mindset, kind of that winning, calm demeanor, flow state sort of thing. Very much a fan of this young man.
I mean,
Both these young men.
Of course. Wilson, I've seen it, you know, across the PGT, even I believe out there in some of the events that you've called Triton. His ability to bluff is off the charts good.
Well, you know,
I mean,
tracks back to that fearlessness that
yeah,
he talked about.
just off the charts good.
And his ability to value bet off the charts good as well. Is that ability going to be on display despite the arrival of this 10? Some of the straights get there in the form of a pair of 10s, or obviously the 6-8 having been there already. Jack 8 could be a thing.
Both flush draws missed, clubs and hearts. He is, of course, clubless and heartless. I suspect he's trying to check call a variety of sizes, and Wilson says ace high is good enough to get the showdown, and now sees the bad news.
So Zobian still north of 3 million. Really just has control of this final table. And boy, that's a fair way to describe what we bore witness to yesterday from Brazil's João Simão, who just put on a stone clinic. Zobian was at that final table, finished
100.
5th.
Raise 100.
Also at that event 7 final table where he finished 4th. Looking to better those results here today. Meanwhile, Gierse looking to put something together. Queen 9 of hearts making the effort. Chino defends with King Trey. Middle pair, the fruit for Gierse. Nothing blossoming for the King Trey. Now Gierse picking up the heart draw as well and successfully inducing Chino into a pretty poor bet of 125 given what he's up against.
Well, you know, sometimes you shoot your shot and it's wrong. Very nice check back on the flop by Gierse that opened up this door, allowing Chino to believe that that was his texture.
Now Gierse finding queens up. Improvement on every street.
Chino's done. You know, he has such great feel, been there, done that. When he got called on the turn, I suspect he was shutting down unless he paired his king on the river.
360.
360.
That should do it. 360 into 5 1/4, and out of there goes the king high. You're right. You know, he's tight with the grinder. One of these street poker field-based players is Chino, and it really goes a lot further than I think a lot of the children of the Sims want to give it credit for.
When's our break?
Maybe are a little bit
It is,
focused
okay.
more on the other side of the game. Meanwhile, we're focused on global poker. Why? Because they're playing host to the US Poker Open online, running now through April 26th, and you can get in on things. Daily tourneys, big guarantees, and of course a shot at a Vegas prize package, all are available. Play the US Poker Open online today at globalpoker.com. King 10 for Gierse. Wilson with King 9. Clear advantages for the German. Ace 8-7 board. Wilson checking.
80.
80.
A little c-bet and take from Marius. Nearly $6 million in career tournament earnings. For the man from Münster, Germany. You know, it does say that he is Austrian, but you know, I'm with you. If your hometown's Münster, chances are you're German, right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of, you know, the Germans now reside in Austria. To
It's
do,
poker's think tank.
tax,
Yeah.
sort of stipulations.
100.
We're on break, right? Right?
I believe we're on break.
It's Washington.
Oh.
Thanks.
Well, a nice punctuation mark on the frame for Aram Zobian, your chip leader, coming in, and that 2.6 he brought to battle has grown. Nearly $1 million in profit, putting him up near 3.5 million and near a $2 million gap between he and Brandon Wilson. As Rheem and Gierse bring up the rear, we're going to step aside briefly and be back with more from this FT.
It is a new time. It is a new chapter. We are here live in the brand new PokerGO campus. No gamble, no future. Hanks, myself, and the face of FS1, Nick Wright, are going to bring to all of you the best poker show, combining poker, combining sports, and sports cards.
Let's get to work.
What the hell is combining all three industries to create the best poker show on planet Earth? Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to continuing coverage of the 2026 US Poker Open from inside the PokerGO studio. Event 9's final table began with 6 and now sits with 4. Ali Najad alongside Brent Hanks. This 15K has all 4 of your remaining players enjoying an assured $91,500. The latter at present nearly $37,000. There's Marius Gierse. He is sitting with 1.3 million. 3 players, all within 2 bigs of one another right now. Jockeying for the opportunity to play heads up, presumably against Aram Zobian if everything continues to go the way it has been. for that young man. Level 19, 30, 60, and 60. 150 in orbit, the price of poker.
120.
I think the way you describe that is jockeying and battling here. This is wide open. Zobian has, call it 45% of the chips in play, but everyone, all of his opponents are within striking distance, essentially a double up away from taking the chip lead. If it were to happen through Zobian, of course.
Yeah, if it happens through one another, though, Aram's still comfortably in front.
He's okay, yeah, but this is, there's a lot of game left.
And a lot of hand here. Middle pair against this Chino Open with the ace-8, which follows through for 100 on the 120 pre. Fails to improve on the turn after the flat. Second barrel
Button's good.
by Chino. Gets through, and Zobian just gives his man credit there.
That's crazy, huh? Look at that.
Not on hand to stack the pot. Okay, there he is. Now he's back.
Yeah, it
I thought
fits
you were asking.
perfectly.
60?
Yep.
60.
Round 2 on tap here. Advantage Chino once more pre-flop. Couple of suited sixes squaring off.
Oh, sorry.
Was a good one.
No joke.
Okay. Both players with straight draws. Clear advantages for Chino.
60.
Zobian's going to lead at it. Chino calls. Both players bink the 6 now. Heart's not present anywhere. Note that the 4 kicker plays right now.
Yeah, I don't think that can be the case.
No,
A
on the
variety
end.
of rivers, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Chino, after firing, or being fired into rather, on the flop, takes the initiative, courtesy of the Zobian check. Aram calls the 80. And a 3 on the end, giving Zobian 2 pair and Chino the straight.
Depending on the sizing from Chino, assuming that Zobian does in fact check. No, he's going to lead right out. Is this a blocker sort of activation? Yeah, 140.
Yeah, this into 460.
This is really nice. 500. I would imagine the plan is exactly that. Bet 140. If we get raised, we just muck 2 pair. Really well done by Zobian.
He snap folded it too.
That was the plan. If Chino raises me, I'm just going to fold. And I love the lead for 140 because had he checked, Chino certainly was going to bet upwards of 50% pot or more.
Well, here's the Octopi Poker stats breakdown for televised PGT final tables on Chino Rheem. He actually finishes below his average starting point. Chip leading 42% of the time, by the way. That is a very strong figure. All in equity, just shy of 50%.
120.
120.
Gierse, again, second tour of duty with aces at this FT.
This man knows how to collect birds.
I didn't need 9-8.
Wow. You call a raise pre-flop? I would lose a lot more, I guess.
Yeah.
Wilson
Well,
disappointingly
maybe
folding the
not.
big.
No.
Is Gierse
you
unable to
raise
pick up
pre,
any
I
more
bet,
than
bet,
blinds
bet.
and antes?
It just goes.
I had an okay hand.
It just goes call, call, call.
Did
If you
need
did-
9-8.
It just goes call, call, call.
You mean to beat me or just?
No, I'm saying if you raise pre and you bet,
No, I'm saying you're saying I didn't need 9-8
I don't think I needed 9-8.
210
to beat me. Of course.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's all I
for
meant.
Zobian. Opens ace 10 for Chino on the puck. He's within 840K of Aram coming into this one.
Yeah, Chino's wiggled his way into second in chips, and now coming after the chip leader.
Yeah, a little more wiggle up to 300. Extra 180 on request. Zobian will flat. So this becoming a bit of a theme. These square-offs between Aram and Chino. 750,000 in the middle. The overpair checks along with the flow to Chino, who snap checks back his wheel draw and 10 of diamonds. Board pairing deuce now. I would imagine the 10s are feeling a lot better.
I think they're feeling okay, but you know, Chino's so slippery, Ali. He can absolutely have, you know, let's call it aces, and be checking back this type of texture on the flop. Watch how Zobian wants to continue, though.
280.
He says 280. Obviously, we can see 10s are well out in front.
Chino making the call, another 560 into the middle. Queen on the end.
Not a great card for Zobian if you suspect that some of Chino's calling range on the turn, hands like ace-queen, ace-king. Obviously, that queen interferes well with Chino. And he's also a little suspect that Chino could just be kind of doing his thing out there with the overpairs that are better than 10s. You don't love this spot.
Well, 280 into 750. He is trying to unpack what called him here. How often is this supposed to be Jacks plus? How often is this meant to be a Queen X peeling?
Well, let's look at the sizing. We saw what Zobian did with 2-pair against Chino, where he bet river very small and then instantly folded whenever Chino activated. Chino aware of this dynamic. Could he turn ace-10 into a bluff and represent the overpair or represent the rivered queen with a hand like ace-queen?
This 330 is on the bashful side. Oh my goodness.
Wow, he's done it.
Leaving the door open with Chino's remaining stack depth for this sort of savagery. And there's a little glimpse at that street poker we teased out of Chino.
He just saw it from Zobian, thinking, all right, if this guy is just going to bet fold like he did before, he's going to do it again. Chino pulled the trigger, gets it through. Well done.
Well done is one way to refer to the numbers on your screen here. Living the Ream is Chino. 84 cashes, 48 FTs, 9-time title winner with $6.5 million in career earnings on the PGT. 4-time series champ.
Did you notice, by the way, Zobian did not even think?
No.
He bet 330,
No.
Chino jammed, instantly threw his hand
His
into
mind
the
is
muck.
very made up in that spot. And I wonder, based on the brisk muck in the face of the raise last time around,
125.
if he maybe kind of brought that thought into Chino's mind more readily than had he chewed on it longer last time out. You know, a little positive reinforcement for the outcome.
Right.
You see Wilson collecting, courtesy of sevens and an open. Ace king suited, pretty one on the puck. 125. Says Gierse. Rheem defends. Jack 6-4. One club out there, 2 diamonds, no pairs. Very comfortable follow through from Marius.
80.
Keeping things kosher is Chino. With the fold is Gierse. Now with 1-5, a nose in front of Wilson and Zobian in that unfamiliar sub 2 million territory. Well, by now you should be familiar with Play Poker Go. And if you're not, get over there and play some free online poker. Ring games and tourneys available with no deposits, bots or gimmicks, just pure authentic poker. Play Poker Go also has special free rolls that run every hour on the half hour. Play now at playpokergo.com, available on web, iOS, and Android. Chino getting slippery with an ace-queen suited, which turns into the nuts on the flop.
You know what? Give him the royal. Just let's see the turn. Put the 10 of diamonds out there. Give us a royal.
Well, we're going to be giving him the pot. That much we know as it stands versus 5-4 off.
Notice, too, Chino just limping with that ace-queen suited out of position against specifically Brandon Wilson. He knows how aggressive that Brandon Wilson wants to be.
Chino, he's got such great instincts.
Yeah.
Out there.
Out there towards, you know, the top 1% as far as the feel is concerned with poker.
And listen, I think he'd be quick to tell you, too, I'm not top 1% when it comes to, you know, memorizing the charts and the ranges and things like that. But he's been around a minute, man. And he's seen a lot. And he's very observant. And you can pick up a lot that falls into what seems to be a feel-based adjustment. But really, it's just his recognition of certain patterns and then him deducing certain things without having
200.
memorized charts. As
right.
Gierse.
Is he flexing on purpose? Did he roll the sleeve up just to apply this 3-bet?
I can't confirm nor deny, but flexing proverbially for sure.
Not a 3-bet, just a sizable. Let's shoot it. Wilson starts the hand just over 20 bigs, not looking to check or limp jam all in. He just wants to see texture, plenty of depth to limp call.
Seven, 6 deuce.
Trappy?
Nothing?
No, I had a big hand.
How big?
I had a pair. You bluff me?
130.
You're pretty sick.
130,000.
I'll give you credit. But I could just have a boat.
You could have a lot of things.
Yeah.
So can I, though.
Yeah. I mean, if I just have pocket fours.
You can have fours.
I can have fours, 6-5 of clubs. Maybe you flopped a straight. Ace-5 of spaders.
No, that was just OG being OG on.
Yeah? Oh, you got me good?
You folded a pair. How big was your pair?
by the way. A
You
little.
saying you bluffed ace king? Oh man,
Now we got him guessing.
this is
Wanna
gonna
cover
hurt.
up.
Gonna hurt to see this one.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt.
It's not going to feel good. We know that
OG.
much. No, by the way, that Wilson peeled 130 with this king 10. That king of spades, of course, having a lot to do with it.
Didn't feel
Plus,
my hand was good enough to just call.
maybe we pick up a straight draw on the turn. Now
It's either
Gierse
raise or fold.
contemplating in the presence of this second 7
Okay.
whether or not he wants to bring a barrel forward. He does not. And that allows Wilson to spike a
raise.
king.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
that's a
lot of
really brutal one for Gierse,
stuff.
clearly.
There's a lot of stuff that you're betting that I still beat, but calling didn't feel like the right play there.
Just know some of the
Raise and fold, I
overcard
didn't
type
wanna-
holdings are
There.
there.
He had like 8.
Also hands like 9-10, 8-9
10?
suited. Everything
Yeah,
that
king.
would have limp
Good 10.
called.
Yeah, ace king.
OG got you.
Uh-huh.
Mid tens? OG got you. The OG got you.
Good play, bro.
Thank you.
How much, Mr. Wilson?
Interesting, by the way, that when Chino was mining information out of Aram, you know, that which is taking place in the background of this exchange between Wilson and Gierse, he said, I can't tell you anymore. You're a fisher. And then when the shoe was on the other foot, Aram
Yeah.
all too happy to soak up the
Uh-huh.
knowledge that Chino is sharing with him. Now, soaking in this river barrel is Gierse.
600,000, I believe.
Yeah, that's chunky into 720.
Gierse hates this. He knows that kings and queens on the river were really bad. But we beat all of the other bluffs. That's the problem when we have ace jack high here.
10 seconds.
He's sort of flipping a coin in his mind, giving it a little bit of extra think. And we know Wilson is so sick, can absolutely have bluffs.
I mean, everything missed in terms of straight and flush draws. Gierse unblocks all of the 10 through 8 stuff.
It's also kind of like, it doesn't even have to be a signed straight draw on flop. Like, it could just be queen 10 off, right?
Well, it was king 10 off, as we
Exactly,
could see.
yeah.
So it is paid off.
Yeah.
And Wilson
It's one of those
putting
sort
a
of
big dent in Gierse.
not must pay territory, but like often you're calling and you just say, show me a winner.
Yeah. And of course, in retrospect, maybe we feel we fire the turn there, accept the risks of representation of a 7 or something along these lines, and then we get to showdown
What happened on the
for
flop?
less than 600.
I don't know.
Check call.
Turn,
Yeah,
check, check?
unclear. I don't think betting turn made a lot of sense.
No, it would be a results-oriented
yeah.
kind of reevaluation of the spot, but
Yeah. I think you're just kind of, you know, sometimes we call, sometimes we fold, and hope to be on the better side of that percentage in the long run.
sometimes we get 6-outed.
Yeah.
So Wilson up to 2.3.
Raise.
Now second in chips.
120.
Behind Rheem, your leader, with near 3 million. Raise announced on the button. King 10 for Gierse. Traumatized him a moment ago. He won't dance with it. Easy take for Brandon.
It's part of his image too, Wilson, what, you know, what players have seen, knowing that he's capable of, that also earns him those calls in those spots at a higher frequency than others. Take a look at event number 10, outer table coverage. This, of course, will be our last final table. Another nice turnout. Bill Klein. There's Wild Bill down there.
Yeah, Seward to the right of Nick Schulman. That's a tough assignment. Adam Hendricks. There's Brock Wilson. Bucky. Matt Wantman on the right of Wilson. Screen right. Table left. A little less than a 100-point lead over Osmus. Clemen Deng. 324. I don't believe that's inclusive of his haul today. Clemen's 324.
Yeah, not sure, but
There he is.
you know, all of these guys in contention. This final event is critical. Let's hope we have a sweat, you know, for our next final table later
Yeah.
on.
Always makes things better. Meanwhile, better is the ace-9 of Marius Gierse than the ace-5 of Chino. This was an open to 350, most of the 470. Rheem said, show me the rest, and top 2 here for Gierse.
Let's start putting some paint cards up. Starting with the jack.
Queen.
Starting with the jack.
Deuce of diamonds.
That's not a jack.
Not in that counterfeiting territory.
470, yeah?
And the 3.
Nice hand.
Not going to do it either. So
Yeah.
Gierse bouncing back.
Welcome back, Gierse. 17 bigs.
Great story, by the way, on Chino being shared by Noob Card Collector in our chat. He says he played with him a couple of years ago, and it was wild. Under the gun raised, small blind, jammed all in, and under the gun went into the tank for 5 minutes. And Chino said, I know exactly what the guy tanking has. Noob turned to Chino and said, 20 bucks that you don't. They shook hands for the bet. Guy eventually folded, and Chino said pocket queens, and the guy flipped over 2 red queens. And, well, Noob sent 20 bucks to the Chino fund, so some of that feel, street sense.
Did Chino have the best hand? Usually in those scenarios.
I don't think he was in the pot.
Oh, he wasn't even in the pot?
No, but he just,
Okay.
you know, it was
All
a
right.
spot, under the gun, small blind.
All right.
And he's like, I know what this guy has, who's
Yeah.
tanking, who ultimately folded.
Right.
Just nailed it. Those hurt, by the way, when you have the entire field of starting hands versus a man saying 2 queens.
Just pegged you.
And just bingo.
Yep.
Meanwhile, bottom pair here, advantage Rheem versus Wilson. Well, I spoke too soon as the 10 rolls right off in the face of check, and Wilson now with the straight.
And a nice check back on the turn for Wilson with that straight possessing the 9. I think now we certainly realize we can get value. Chino is never checking an ace-high straight on the river. Probably not even a straight with a 9.
180.
So Brandon can't check back a 3rd time.
No, this is really well done.
Full pot.
Yep. And think about the hands we beat if we're Chino. Like, man, this guy can just have 6-7 off. Do exactly this.
Yeah, but he's not going to find out. And again, making the right decision. Wilson emerging the chip leader. Ever so slightly. Zobian quietly bleeding down to 1.6, Brent.
Yeah, that pot with the 2 10s, he'll be thinking about for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Tough one to recover from, but he's fine, you know. 27, almost 30 bigs. Yeah, he'll be all right.
A7 suited now for Chino.
125.
All right, wait, he gets 15 back, right?
No action. Gierse elevates with an ace on the puck. Zobian with a suited version.
10 seconds.
570.
570.
Third scoop comes in. And out goes Gierse. Don't count Zobian out just because he's so far off his high water mark on the day, north of 3.5 million. He is unbothered and going to make the most of every spot, putting so much care
Now, you know?
and thought into the situation. By the way, you give me any mix and match for heads up here, and I'm grabbing a bag of popcorn, Brent, in terms of these four players.
Yeah, anyone. I'll take any of the four heads up, of course. Guaranteed to be in for a treat.
10 seconds.
Chino, again, showing his willingness to limp the ace-X. This time he smashes trip aces, leads into Wilson, who's 4-3. Cannot get cute.
Mixel Dumble Days. Is this real? Is it free? Yeah, we're live. We're real. We're right here. Whatever platform you're watching on here at the US Poker Open. That sound confirms it all.
But that sounds not real. I mean, it's real, but it's not an eagle cry. It's a hawk.
That's what someone in the chat said. Maybe it really is an eagle. Or did you do some extra research?
No, I Googled.
You found
and
it.
I found that
confirmed.
often
Okay.
in film and television, the screech
All right.
is piped in, but it's a hawk. Eagles don't apparently make, well, anyway.
I feel like that type of news and insight, I don't even want to know.
Is your world shattered? Is this like
it's
there's
a
no
little-
Santa Claus status?
It's a little painful, that's not the sound of an eagle.
It's
200.
a little bet here, but the pain comes courtesy of the 10-6 of spades.
Oh, baby.
Check raising to 200.
What a hand to do it with. Backdoor spades, the 10-6 sort of interacting with that 9 out there. And you just get a lot of folds. See if Chino wants to fight. He knows that Gierse can be up to no good, but Gierse only has 500K and change behind.
That, of course, carries even more weight.
Anything? Oh boy.
Hope. I had hope.
Oh boy.
Big hopes.
Oh boy.
Chino had the sense. He was getting dressed down there.
Helmuth is calling me right now. We're live on air, Ollie. Will you say hi to him? I'm sending him this little message.
Big hopes.
Phil Hellmuth is calling us right now,
Yes.
knowing full well that we are on air.
No, he doesn't know. You're telling him. I'm telling him right now on this video.
Wait,
Back
you
to
didn't
him.
I
answer?
was gonna say, dang.
This is the
No,
answer.
but you're
is,
sending him a video. Call him
big
back.
Yeah, but hope has
Call-
been
Brent, call
crushed
him
this
back.
week, so I don't know.
on air.
Give me the phone.
But it's still there.
Still there, brother.
Give me the
New
phone.
day
We're going to call Phil.
for your hopes to get crushed.
Indeed, it is.
All right.
Brent.
Actually, it's Ali, Phil. We are on air broadcasting the U.S. Poker Open live, and you're on speakerphone on the broadcast now with us.
And it looks like a big hand developing here, Ali. Why don't you take it from here,
Okay,
just so we
I'll
don't
give
have
it-
to
here you
edit
go,
this
here
out
you
in
go.
post? Yes. Hello, Phil. One moment.
Ace Queen of Diamonds for Gierse. Ace 9 for Zobian. He deliberates. Uh-oh. Zobian has chosen to jam here. The only silver lining, of course, the fact that he has Gierse covered, but the coverage really comes in ace-queen versus ace-9 form more so than the chips. 72% is Marius to find the big double.
Barring a miracle 9, this has been a disaster of a stretch for Aram Zobian.
Oh, wait, hang on now. Finds himself an open-ender on a Jack-10-8 board.
There's always a sweat.
Hunting 7s and queens. One busy across the way. Oh, and there's the queen. Wow. He's actually
chop. I ain't greedy.
only going to not lose, but you know, be disappointed by a king, which would give Gierse the chop. Marius cannot connect, and no justice here for Gierse. Around a knuckle bumps, but that is a painful way to be evicted from the premises. $91,500 for the 4th place finish. Ouch.
Out with a smile, though, is the beast, Marius Gierse, and I haven't seen a bad beat like that since Phil Hellmuth last played inside the PokerGo studio. Phil, are you still with us?
I was to say this. When I heard you announcing the hand, I was like, Zobian's will probably move in with ace-9, and he'll probably somehow beat ace-queen. I've seen him do that a lot. I'd like to know the stats in Octopi Poker of how many times he's hit his... He plays a lot of big pots with ace-9, ace-10. I can say that. You know, he
I love it.
Sometimes ace-jack.
Now listen, he is fearless. That much we have seen, and here he is with ace-queen suited. That's the hand he just showered with an ace-9. He's in great shape against Wilson. We fight on three-handed, 128,000 and change guaranteed to the remaining 3 players. 55,000 the next rung on the ladder. 3 scoops up to 550. And Wilson lacking durability. Pitches the queen 10, and just like that, bouncing off of a low water mark on the day is Aram Zobian up and over 3 million and back into the chip lead, 3-handed.
The trials and tribulations of tournament poker. When you're aggressive like Aram Zobian, well, you know.
Okay, now hang on.
These
Phil's
ebbs
still
and
on the
flows
line,
have, yeah,
right?
we still got Hellmuth. The great one is with us.
So, Phil, if I don't tell you chip stacks, everybody's got over almost 40 big blinds, at least 37 big blinds, okay? And it's Brandon Wilson, Aram Zobian, and Chino Rheem, and you got to close your eyes and give me a horse. Who do you like there?
You know, Chino plays really well, and like he has a way of like talking, and you know, I mean, his World Poker Tour record's incredible. You know, so I give him a lot of props. By the way, Ali, can I just say that? Can I just say that you've had to endure a shift, Ali?
Yeah.
The shift is that the guy sitting next to you is now your boss.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, Phil, and I appreciate you pointing it out, especially when he actually says things that leave me questioning whether or not we might get into trouble. And then I realize he's the one that would get us into trouble, so I guess I just follow his lead.
Me? Cause trouble never.
Brent, don't you be threatening Ali to fire Ali. There'll be some workplace discrimination.
Well, you know, I one time on Live No Gamble No Future, we relieved him of his duties and announced someone else replacing him, and
he pink slipped me live on air for Nick Wright. That was a strong move. It dawned on me slowly, and that was tough, by the way. And no sooner does Hellmuth announce that Rheem is kind of the man to watch than he picks one up, and now he has an ace-king on the button, opening once more. Ace-9 suited for Zobian.
Hold on. Yes.
This is the hand Phil was suggesting he's seen Aram play big pots with. 65K call, and Zobian manages to make middle pair, out-flopping Rheem. Jack-9-5 board here.
What is it with this guy and ace-9? He just doesn't miss.
So the 10 on the turn, rolling off after a quick check back from Rheem, who picks up the Broadway gutty. Aram checking. Still no betting out of the ace-king. Very dry river, I would imagine. Zobian has designs on his hand being best. 340 in the middle. $90K. Look at the milkiness of this. Yeah, Chino hates it.
Well, he's never raising with that body language like he has in previous hands. Instead, pays it off.
And credit to Zobian, by the way, because he found that size. He could get action from that ace-king comfortably, and Chino
How many times you had ace high on the river?
annoyingly has to pay off.
A lot.
But you're still up.
Well, if you're looking to sharpen your game, check out Octopi Poker, the all-in-one training platform built for serious players without a high price. From GTO tools to structured learning, it's everything you need to level up. Get 10% off annual plans with promo code USPO. Head to octopipoker.ai and start improving today. Black nines here for Brandon Wilson. He makes it 125 to go. Zobian with a playable one. Ace 10 of hearts. Just gonna flat. Queen 10-5. Aram out flopping. Wilson looking up at those two overcards, not to mention that big stack. He and Chino neck and neck here. Keeping a lid on things for the time being with the check back. Now on the turn, he picks up both a flush draw and a straight draw to threaten these tens of Zobian. Still no betting out of Aram. Wilson giving it a good chew.
10 seconds.
Not looking to barrel though, ensuring that he gets a chance to realize the equity, but instead a king of clubs sews this one up for the ace 10 unless Wilson would have turned his hand into a bluff.
Things are possible. You know, I expected maybe a little bit more carnage given the strengths of these two hands, but low variance approach from both.
Full shutdown. Aram works his way up to 3.6.
Thanks,
Pretty
man.
wild chip graph on him. Touched on the fact he came in with 2.6, ended the last frame in the mid threes, then dipped down to 1.5 million territory. And here he is right back at the high water mark as we begin level 20, 40, 80, and 80, 200K in orbit.
Just about half the chips in play.
80, okay.
But up against Brandon Wilson, and Chino Rheem has his hands full.
I didn't see any cards, but
What happened?
I think you shouldn't like heel up before you pitch. Yeah, yeah. because it might be easy to. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
But I've heard that man say he saw a club 2 hands in a row.
if I saw a club, I'd tell you I saw a fucking club.
What are you doing, sir?
Zobian
Playing the game.
jams and takes it.
Well, it was nice having Helmuth join us
That it was.
live on air for a brief moment. We also had the one and only Jared Blesnick, the Blez, drop in.
You know, and before everyone starts taking to the keyboards going, what? The Blez is there? Why didn't you
No,
give him
no,
a I
yes.
offered him a headset,
Right.
guys.
He's on his way out. He was just stopping by for a couple of hugs, and, you know, he's excited. We got No Gamble, No Future Around the Bend live. Don't believe we've announced it yet, but it'll be May 9th and May 10th.
Oh,
The debut, the show that Ali used to do.
yeah, for one or two episodes.
It was a good run.
right.
Yeah.
I don't even know that it was a crawl, let alone a walk or run.
Right.
Jack 10-8, couple of diamonds here as Rheem made it 160. Finds himself bottom pair versus the open-ender. 2 quick checks. No threats on the turn to Rheem's 8s, as we know, but obviously the texture getting less and less attractive. 3rd diamond out there, neither player with the flush draw.
Check.
Stab and take on the turn. You think he mixed the Red Sox in with the white hoodie, or that was just kind of how it came?
I don't know, but how good does this Chino hoodie look? The stars, the Air Jordan matching the U.S. Poker Open hat, matching the set, sort of the theme.
Matching the U.S. Poker Open hat. What about the Air Jordan is matching
Just
the
the
U.S.
stars, the red, the white, everything about it just feels very U.S. Poker Open
patriotic
vibe. Very,
theme.
there it is.
Okay, the
Patriotic,
stars
yeah.
and stripes factor is
Yeah,
where you're leaning. to.
yeah.
Though a dearth of stripes, but okay, I see it. Now I get it.
It does, though, right? It sort of just feels a little
Sure.
on brand.
Sure. Do we got a screech coming?
Hit me with it. Talk to me,
screech?
Eagle.
No.
Wow.
Here's the champs from our other U.S. Poker Open telecasts. Event number 4, it was Kristen Foxen. And then, of course, Mr. Placey. How great was this? Peter, so kind, dropped off a bottle of wine and a really thoughtful note here in the booth earlier today.
Love it.
He was your Event 5 champ. And then Brock Wilson, boy, he had his hands full with Nick Schulman. But in the end, came out on top of event number 6. Alex Foxen besting Jeremy Osmus, as Osmus and Wilson are the 2 at the top slot for the overall series lead. Joao Samao, an absolute domination in event number 8 over Zach Brush. And that brings us here to event number 9, where the dominance that Aram Zobian brought in at the onset has been restored, uninvolved in this one, where Wilson's queen high is in front of 7 high. There it remains on the turn in a limped 1 pre.
Who will it be hosting? Excuse me, hoisting, Ali. That golden eagle.
Well, after hoisting, you will also be hosting the trophy somewhere, I imagine, in your home. You know,
Where would you put it if you won one? Got a spot laid out for your trophies?
I would probably put it near a fire feature around the pool or jacuzzi where,
Oh.
you know, the flames could reflect and just appropriate glory.
What do we have going on here?
Now, the other day when he was rocking this headwear, I mentioned that I wasn't sure what it's called. I believe it's a keffiyeh.
Keffiyeh.
Yeah.
Okay. You're familiar with a keffiyeh?
You always have half.
Yeah.
You always do have half.
You know,
of the half.
upstate New York, I would imagine, you know, you might be dialing 911 if you were to see something like this, Brent, where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Western New York.
Yeah. Scares you, does it?
No, not at all.
See,
I was more
I'm
just
good.
in, you know, curious. So I'm sure you are. Yeah.
Me, Ali, I'm good.
Yeah. No,
Brent's sweating, guys. Don't
get
zoom
it.
in on this. Brent's really, really thrown by that.
I'm fine. I'm in a very secure booth.
Proud of his heritage is Aram.
Just a lucky hat.
Could be. 2 hearts, 2 aces, and a 4 here as the Broadway combos score off for 160 pre, follow through of 80 from Chino. Plays with so much pace, by the way. Zobian Armenian, by the way, in case there was any questions with respect to that. Raised an Orthodox Catholic. Finding a queen on the turn against the king high. Fortunately, is Chino, and he grabs 200, flicks it out there without any hesitation. And, you know, the king high could still very well be good. And, of course, now it's got that gut shot as well. But Zobian made a believer.
9-7.
Go ahead.
Called when he was good, folded when he was bad. Did Aram. .6 for Chino as he narrows the gap.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Yep.
Three-handed poker makes me excited, but not nearly as excited as Blue Chew Gold.
Why do you always make really awkward eye contact with me in the booth?
You
when you're
inspire
doing this
me.
promo? But let the pill do its work. Why do I have to be involved?
No, it's already done its work. That's why
Okay.
I'm now looking at
and
you.
And that's why perhaps I should
no one
exit
else
the
in
booth.
here. Right.
Right. That's what's alarming me.
I could use a moment.
Or an apple
Although
pie.
on Blue Chew, this, you know, I might need a couple hours.
This is,
right.
You know. I'm clear across the booth now, by the way, guys, as far away as possible from my boss. You know, perhaps a landmark suit would be my swan song. You know, a judgment against Brent for workplace Blue Chew over exuberance. You know, of course, your defense would involve something to the effect of they're our sponsor. I was just, you know,
playing the part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which all true, by the way.
Right. But you can do it with your pants on, Brent. That's the thing.
Well, I've been wearing them all week.
Have you? I'm gonna need this for evidence. Just go with it.
No, you can keep them.
Ace manufacturing. Ace King manufacturing 175 on the button here. Zobian doesn't get himself in any trouble. Ace 4 offsuit defense once more. He and Rheem tussle. Bad side of a gutter on the 8-high rainbow texture for Zobian. Certainly favors his range. Let's see. Chino snap check back. Doesn't find a club on the turn, nor the ace or king. His hand's still best, however. Ace of hearts becoming slightly more relevant.
$370. 10 seconds.
really nice by
Yeah.
Zobian.
Drew it up, recognizing that Chino's hand likely would have had to contain a jack to feel comfortable against that barrel. You know, Aram describes himself as a bit of a lone wolf. He does have a lot of friends in poker, but over the last few years, he's been flying solo for the most part.
Wait, doesn't he have like a group? You know?
He has friends, but to hear it from him, he's been more of a lone wolf of late. It's allowed, Brent. Stop looking so confused. You know, I could use some solitude now after the better part of a week beside you, but instead I have a weird two-person wolf pack I've been forced into.
You know, they are more of a pack animal, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, give me a few more wolves to buffer myself between you and I. You know, especially with the blue true that you've been. It's not gum. It's not like a mint, dude. It has a purpose. I wish you could see the confusion on Brent's face now. Yeah, it's not candy. It's like medicine, dude.
But this whole time, I just thought it was a snack.
Yeah, I know. The volume of them that you've actually ingested this week suggests story tracks, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, which also explains the side effects. Every time I leave here and I have to go out the bed, you know, I don't want anyone to see me.
Yeah. Yeah, you.
It's awkward at the valet.
It's awkward in here.
Every time I just say, yeah, I just love my car.
Don't run any blacklight on his tailpipes.
What is this cutesy size?
Well, Zobian. Well, it's dominated. Concedes to the king 10 3-bet with his queen 10.
Do you think that many in our audience have ED issues? Are we targeting
honestly,
yeah.
I have no. I'm not even going to think
You've
about it.
never thought about it?
I don't know. Why would I? Why would I think about that, Brent?
Well, you know, we're advertising.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably
and
worth
I
a
don't
thing.
care. You know, if they are suffering, you know, good luck on your journey, and if they're not, then great.
Keep on powering on.
Yes, sure.
Yep. Keep on chugging.
Gut shot and a spade draw here for Zobian as Rheem keeps on trucking with the 160 pre, 100 post. Extra 200, bringing the pot to 640.
5's still good, but hard to recognize unless you can, look at this, turn it into a bluff, sort of, in a way, is Chino.
He's really begun to get more aggressive. And it is working out for him as Zobian folds a good bit of hand against that sizing.
I think Chino suspects that he was trying to target some sort of 9 or a queen. Obviously fold out the flush draws too. Very nice, Chino.
I forgot Brandon Wilson was here.
Yeah, still grinding, you know, 17 bigs-ish.
I mean, listen, if these two are going to be willing to get after each other as often as they have as the two big stacks, Brent, I could see a world in which Wilson's like, all right, guys, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
Limped one on this occasion. King 10-7, doesn't hit either holding. checks. Now both, rather the 8-5, making the two-way straight draw. Thought it was the 8 they shared. It is the 5. The 6 on the end after 2 streets of checking, giving Zobian the straight.
$170.
Chino. Easy fold with 5 high. Aram talks about the mannerisms and psychology of the game mattering more to him and being something that he doesn't discuss that much with folks. He works privately with his coaches for the most part, loves the game, goes through training sites, including from Run It Once, and focuses on people on his own team to kind of fill in some of the gaps. I mentioned Justin Saliba earlier, Jonathan Jaffe also among those.
I thought you said he was a lone wolf. Didn't have any of these.
Listen,
you know.
Every now and again you can encounter a pack and, you know, do some sniffing.
Excellent usage of sniffing.
Yeah. Oh, what's your name?
As wolves will do.
Yeah, I'm sure all canines, you know.
You, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have a dog, right? Or you do?
No, I don't. I love dogs with a passion, but I travel a lot, as you know.
That's it.
And in the same way in which I don't want to be an absentee dad to a kid, which is why I don't have kids, I don't want to do that to a dog either. You know, I'm not trying to put him in a kennel, you know, a doggy hotel.
Yeah. I mean, you could travel with the dog. Don't you? I mean, what about the gal? 2.5 years? You know, we talked about her.
Yeah.
Is she often
she
traveling
works,
with
but
you?
she'll come when she can. Yeah, if she's
sure she will.
Able.
Yeah.
What was that? You going blue chew on me again?
What's that?
Yeah.
No, the traveling.
Listen, you're not going to slip those in on me, Brent. You know, I'm sharp. You know, I see you, buddy.
I'm not trying to slip anything inside you.
I beg to differ. I've been here for 7 days, and the way you look at me suggests that, you know. And by the way, I'm not here for it. Just let the record reflect. You know, no judgment, but me personally, I'm good. Oh. Good as the ace-queen. Certainly good enough to raise, says Chino. Lunch paid somebody a second visit.
Yeah, did you hear that?
A moment ago. Had to have been Brandon, right?
Ooh. That came up the wrong pipe.
that one felt like it might have blown a valve or something.
Yeah, that's not good. We got to check in on him. Is he still with us? The other side of the table?
I think honestly he's played so few hands.
May have lost him.
All in.
All in.
Baby suited ace getting after Wilson, and Brandon shipping a couple of blinds.
Oh, I'm gonna go get it.
For Chino's way. Boy, look at this, just 200K separating Chino and Aram up top. And they're just trying to find a way to get Wilson out of here.
Not an easy out, Brandon Wilson. None of these guys, right? You play at the U.S. Poker Open, three-handed in the 15K. Yeah, you're George. Is that what the kids say? You're George. You're George. Yeah.
Although the cool kids will say it George.
George.
Yeah. As
George.
opposed to the, you know, the George is kind of like. There's a lot of people scratching their temples going, what are these two on about, by the way? In casino speak,
240.
George was the fictional name that staff in the pits would give to a big tipper. And conversely, Tom was the nickname that they would give to somebody who was a stiff. So.
Oh, I didn't know that about Tom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your George or your Tom? That's where it was appropriated from into poker. And by the way, that's a very niche group that kind of uses that. You're not going to hear it out here. Yesterday, I think it was a couple days ago maybe, Foxen. Now, hang on. I didn't know it was Al Jazeera for whom Brandon Wilson interned back in the day. I don't know that. Do they have a sports report?
In Al Jazeera?
On Al Jazeera?
I don't think. Do they have
I think
sports?
Like geopolitics, more, you know. Now over to Abdel with the sports report. I mean.
What sports? I mean, is that where's cricket popular? Apparently that's
that
a sport,
corner
right?
of the world, sure.
Yeah.
India, Pakistan.
Soccer, also allegedly a sport.
Referred to as football everywhere but here. Hang on now.
Yes.
Referring to his whole stack is Chino.
Not all of a sudden paired.
Putting Zobian in the blender. This is the kind of thing that's keeping Wilson
I got big cards, man.
less inclined to get
No,
involved.
it's true. I mean, I look back and they're the same. I'm going to call.
I get it. I had a pair.
7?
6s. The bottom.
The bottom? Race.
King 10. Snacking. Oh, hi, Muck. Well, you know, Mardu Games in the YouTube chat says simply, poker can be so boring. We get it. Right now, it's a lot of raise and take, raise 3-bet take. You know, it isn't a stage set for post-flop play right now, but this is all part of the process when it comes to winning a poker tournament. We're showing it to you as it unfolds.
Yeah, and if you don't want to tune in for the live stream and see every hand, you can wait for the episodes, which will air on CBS Sports Network, among other locations. We trim the fat from the episodes.
Will they air on Al Jazeera?
I highly doubt it. I mean, isn't it highly illegal? Like death penalty for gambling?
Haram, if you will?
Yeah.
Well, you know, some of those private games happening in Dubai suggest that perhaps not, but they have cracked down recently. You know how it is. It's you got the right contacts, anything is possible.
Right. Is that how it is?
That's very much how it is.
Oh.
2 overs and a gut shot versus middle pair is how it is here in a limped one pre. Wilson involved. Checks it over. Two checks and now 2 deuces as a result. Now Wilson decides to lead at this. 200 into 240 is serious. Zobian will be trying to deduce how many deuce X combos are realistically going to be in the limping range for Wilson right about now. Of course, the 9X is possible. He's going to keep him honest for at least a street with the call. And in slides Jacob on the end to give Wilson the queen high straight. Front door flush completes. He does hold a key 10 of spades in hand. using a time bank here.
He may have fallen asleep.
It's not impossible, I
He's
suppose,
out.
but I'm betting the don't.
Okay, well, we have life. There we are.
And just prior to the expiration of his next allotment of time, he does bring forward a healthy stack of purple. 600 into 640.
It's a really brutal card for Zobian, but the other flip side is that it's a great card to bluff. Problem for Zobian, he's got the 6 in his hand, which is what you would want your opponent to possess, right? You don't want to block that 6. Example being a hand like 6-7.
And at that size, the 8-6 doesn't remain curious and folds when it's behind. So Wilson showing more resiliency. 1.7 million puts him north of 20 bigs.
3.
That's that very playable depth.
And one hand, you guys be on break or raise up to 5K.
They draw for the number of hands remaining at this level. One more hand is decided. Well, if you haven't already decided, do it now. Head over to globalpoker.com and hop into a US Poker Open online event. It runs now through April 26th. Daily tourneys, big guarantees, and a chance to win a Vegas prize package, all available. Don't miss it. Play the US Poker Open online today at globalpoker.com. Aces for Aram.
270.
270.
270 out of the small. Chino with ace deuce off. We've seen him just back up the truck on a couple of occasions, operating under the assumption that Zobian would have to have so much hand to be willing to dig in, given Wilson sat there in third.
Cool.
He does look over at the screen. Wilson no longer down there near the 10 big blind threshold. Maybe has something to do with this choice. Chino doing well to flat thus far. And merciful board texture here for him, this King Jack 9.
Sure.
Zobian coming with the check. And now the board looks less attractive than it did a moment ago for these aces. And it didn't look good enough for him to want to fire on the flop. Going deep into the time bank was Zobian on that occasion, checking again, understandably, with the 4-liner out there, and might Rheem activate in the face of what he deems to be honest, passive, double check line here? No is your answer?
I think Chino's really falling for it, so to speak. Yeah, the check on the flop is where I saw Chino sort of shrug and made a little face like, huh, that's weird. You made it 270 pre, and then you're checking to me on King Jack 9. I just, you know, Chino's been there, done that.
10 seconds. 155.
I think now's a different scenario. He reads this as what Zobian has done time and time again, right? This sort of blocker sizing.
We're on break?
I think so.
Just a quick fold.
10 minutes.
10 with that one. Zobian
Go 5.
will take back the chip lead. He and Chino have been jockeying at the top of the leaderboard. Wilson languishing in third, but playable stack depth. 17 bigs playing 20 and 38 as three-handed action will return in just a few minutes. Keep it close. More USPO after this.
Want to play online poker for free? With PokerGO, you get the thrill of authentic poker anytime, anywhere. From quick casual games to action-packed tournaments, PokerGO lets you compete against real players around the globe, all for free. No bots, no gimmicks, just pure poker fun. Hone your skills and enjoy the poker experience you love. Explore PokerGO on web, iOS, and Android. Deal yourself in now.
I love the soundtrack we clearly have for that game. Did you hear the synthesizer?
Every single time it comes on, unbeknownst to those at home, you in the booth take on a weird, you know when people make their cats look like they're playing the piano?
Uh-huh.
That's sort of the way your arms maneuver.
I don't do the air guitar. I do the air synthesizer.
The air keyboard. Yeah.
He did.
It's not air if you make the noise, by the way, so just, you know.
Okay.
And also, no one can hear you. Well, a little noise being made here by Chino Rheem's ace-jack of diamonds. Wilson hears him and answers the call.
Daddy needs to win a flip versus Uncle B.
He's pulling the I got kids.
Call in and call. First one to this FT. Broadway draw on a king-queen-8 board for Chino. Aces and jacks will do the trick as well. Wilson's still in front, though.
I feel like you're going to get there on the turn.
Well, apparently Gierse knew something we didn't.
I love that for you. That was great.
The hook plants itself on the turn. Now Rheem just needs to fade a 3. And he makes it look easy. So a double for Chino Rheem that we'll get to. Is he hopes to inspire people that they can do whatever they want. And I know that sounds like, oh, okay, well, so wouldn't everybody want? No. Like, legit, when you've lived the life that he has lived, and you've, let's say, kind of overcome some odds in terms of maybe some people doubting you'd be able to accomplish what you've accomplished somewhere along the way, I think you really take it. In comes the 105. Top pair and an open ender here for Wilson. Really poor texture for Chino's ace-king. He wastes no time coming off the throttle. Both players very mindful of Gierse with that 400 there. And this new ladder, which is 23,000 between the 68.6 on lockup and the 91.5 for fourth.
10 seconds.
Truly terrible texture for Chino's hand. And the down bet of 80K is, it looks to me like it may lure in Chino for another streak that you just never know. He's so good with the presence, the posture, the poise, handling those chips. There, finally the call.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello.
I mean, just a spectacular turn. Granted, it comes in heart form. I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I know it was just 80. Into that
Thank you.
330.
That's on me right now.
But
thank you.
Absent a heart in hand. You could see worlds in which Chino would be a little bit more apt to not peel in that spot. And with a check back on the turn from Brandon, the door is open to Chino if he wants to look for value, which he doesn't, and Brandon in turn does not either.
Really, really surprised that Chino just checked river. Good time to say hello to our audience, Mr. Najad. Everyone out there on our PokerGO YouTube channel or whatever platform you're on.
Just a generic hello, Brent?
Just a, thumbs up, like, we're here. I've got the chat open. I know Ali Also, wow, maybe for the first time, I'm seeing him with the chat open. He's in here.
I've always got it open.
Ready
May
to
not be the
mess.
active tab.
Look at this. The mallards going wild. We've got an all in.
Yeah, Gierse in the big. King 10 of hearts deemed durable enough, so the short stack
Deuces.
will square off against the man that once upon a time held that honor.
Fake flip?
He's
This is a very real flip.
He's a favorite.
This is a very real flip.
Yeah.
Is it a fake flip? I think I have a good hand. He has, I think he has a good hand.
Okay.
It's not like you have ace king and someone forward rips deuces into you.
Play your hand, guys. Sorry.
Welcome back inside the PokerGo studio, where the penultimate event of the 2026 US Poker Open is off and running. A $15,000 no-limit hold'em FT, which has been paired in half, as 3 of our original 6 still remain. Ali Najad alongside Brent Hanks. Brandon Wilson trying to avoid that $128,000 payday. Not that it's something he's not going to be happy with, but an extra 55 available if he can simply outlast one of the 2 others here at this table, including Aram Zobian, your 2024 US Poker Open champ, who has been the chip leader across the bulk of the day, ever so slightly in front of Chino Rheem, as level 21 gets underway. 51-1, $250,000 orbit. Zobian sitting this one out, and Rheem's just going to give Wilson a walk as 7-3 and 7 deuce off are responsible.
Wilson hasn't really had a lot of great hands to work with. Just kind of hanging around, treading water.
Yeah.
Picking his spots oh so carefully. But anything can happen.
You know, as good as he is at poker, get a load of the fact that he was a Hearst Journalism Award winner for his reporting.
What does that mean?
The Society of Professional Journalists Mark of Excellence for reporting, and a College Emmy nominee for his reporting. I mean, we watched him. We saw a clip. He's good.
He's very good. And right, by the way, reporting now with 2 jacks is Mr. Wilson.
300.
Roll call. 300 out of the small and another 7 deuce. No joy for the jacks.
You're 50. You want to touch those purples?
Who does? Who wants to break a good stack, right?
Series headlines for this year's USPO. We talked about Brock Wilson being the overall series leader. 2 wins, 3 FTs. Ausmus, Mike Burke, Justin Zaki, Brandon Wilson, all with 3 final tables.
Well, hold on. We must include
what about
Zobian.
Zobian? I was just going to say, I kept reading the names and didn't see his out there.
3 final tables and 3 consecutive final tables at that.
And something to be said for that, because confidence brims. You get a little momentum going. Poker can be very streaky like that. The ace-jack. Earning a little capital. I wonder whether or not Wilson has made any tangible adjustment to the ranges that he might otherwise be inclined to get involved with, just given the frequency.
Eventually, Matthew's going to give me a better than a deuce for the first card.
Of the heads-up
We stay patient.
collisions that he's witnessed.
Then you get the deuce as the second card.
Chino be
Hasn't
willing
happened
to get into against Zobian.
Only
You
the
know what I
third.
mean?
Between a 3,
Yeah,
7,
although
and a 9.
I think that's sort of irregular. You know, Chino and Zobian not the types to just tee off.
See? That's all you got to do.
But, I mean,
We've seen it.
we've
You know.
seen Chino jam on an open from Zobian with not exactly, you know, aces.
I think it was just more how that hand should proceed. Chino's probably observed what those small pairs do, sub 35 bigs. But to your point, Wilson is the one that I'm really keeping an eye on.
Well, he came in with $2.5 million and change. Back of that mark, Chino came in with $825K, and he is better than tripled.
Chino's had a day. I mean, without a doubt, has accumulated majority of the chips.
Keeping them around.
He and Zobian essentially neck and neck for the chip lead. And by the way, Ali, this is not exactly a ton of chips, right? Nobody even has 30 bigs at this point.
Yeah, things starting to lean out. But boy, look at that. Wilson picking one up, and just like that, you got 3 players separated by no more than 5-ish blinds.
200.
Raise and take there for Aram.
A lot of commotion on the outside. That's our final event number 10, the 25K championship.
Yeah, we did check in on it. I would imagine they're coming back from a break of their own, perhaps.
Updates over at Poker News. Go check it out. For anyone keeping tabs on that last event for day 1. And then we'll have evening coverage, I believe, every single night.
Oh, that's mine?
Have you seen the circus at night, Ali? Live, no hole cards, just live straight up, every table, bouncing around cameras with commentary.
He put out 300 for his big blind.
It's every night.
What?
Yeah, right in your face. Cameras all over. Donnie usually on the mic, and they're just bouncing around, talking to players, capturing hands. Donnie keeps his distance, talking about what he's seeing, what's developing.
Outer table nightly coverage.
Outer table nightly coverage,
Called
or
the
every
circus.
table nightly coverage. No hole cards, and they just, it's fun. Players are typically, a little bit more loosey-goosey, having fun out there.
Okay. Is this by virtue of the fact that the coverage starts toward the end of the night? Or
It starts at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
mean-
usually, down to where they take it all the way down until we reach the final table.
Okay. I was unaware. Why have we not been promoting this? I mean, you just did, but
just remembered.
yeah.
Well, it's been great. So we're off air, and then a little pause, and then we'll get day 1, event 10 coverage
point
tonight.
Out, that if these sorts of things rely on your memory to be properly promoted, this is of concern. I would prefer that material matters to the company don't really depend on that.
I'm sorry, what were you talking about?
Right. And then case in point. Right there.
Where are we?
I'm Ali. How are you? There's been times, by the way, I've longed for a little, amnesia on you.
Have we
Just,
met?
Yeah. Yeah, daily. This is like not quite 50 first dates or whatever it was, but 8 of them, I guess.
This is like
across the span of
what
the
is it?
series.
Is it Finding Nemo? Who's the character that forgets everything? Dory?
Dory.
Yeah, did you ever watch
That's
that?
Ellen DeGeneres' character, I believe, the fish.
What?
Isn't it?
Oh, is that who
Isn't
plays
that
the
her
voice? Oh,
Yeah,
it might be.
so.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
That was a good one, by the way.
Great. Let me tell you, a film that I watched a couple weeks ago, surprisingly, I thought it was going to be terrible, and I found myself thoroughly enjoying it. Watched it with 2 of my kids.
Barbie.
No.
All right.
Anaconda, the new one, with Jack Black, Paul Rudd.
How's it
Yeah.
going?
I'm telling you, hysterical. Octopi Poker, take a look at these stats from Brandon Wilson.
Yeah, it comes in 2.8 on average, 2.6 the finish. And you heard Phil when we were on the phone kind of speculating as to Zobian's stats in spots. Well, 30% of the time, Wilson coming in chip leading.
Yeah, that's a lot.
All
That's a
in
high
equity of
percentage for
near 50%.
chip leader.
Yeah. 45, I believe, was the percentage on Chino, by the way, who is considering whether or not he wants to pay the extra 200 with 10-8 off, but he does limp call as the big little offsuit. Tried to win it there and then. 9-5 trade doesn't hook up with either player. Some reasons to maybe take some pride here for Wilson. Check folds with ease, does Chino. As the C-bet proves the positive route for Brandon. I'll jump into free online poker with PlayPokerGo, where you can grind ring games and run deep in tournaments. No deposits, no bots, no gimmicks, and no shortage of occasions on which I've been promoting this particular product, Brent. Just pure authentic poker over and over and over again.
With Betty.
Special free rolls every hour on the half hour. Play now at playpokergo.com. But why every hour on the half hour? Why not just every hour? You know, on the hour.
Just more promotion equals more signups?
Dude, it doesn't make a difference if it's on the 00s or on the 30s. You know, I'm just curious why. Did this predate your appointment, or was this a conscious sort of decision?
I don't decide on.
Not your idea.
I don't decide on the frequency of our ads.
Yes. Well, a decision not exactly necessary for Chino here with aces, as he will take us north, and the limp pays the extra toll. Queen 5 of diamonds, fanning on the Jack-Jack 9 board. Ace of spade backup for Rheem's overpair.
Much like, you know, I think all leaders do, is you trust the process. You got people that this is their role, this is what we do, and you sit back and say, okay, I support that.
You know what? I actually don't disagree with you on that front. Delegation is definitely a big part of leadership.
Trust the
not simply
process.
thinking that you need to do everything.
Right. And honestly, the less I do, the better.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. But, you know, the more that I can rely on you is counting on other people to do things, the more comforted I am about our future.
Yes, yes. Great read.
You know, if you take any of these business meetings out on the golf course, Brent, you got to take it easy. You got to let the prospect kind of win from time to time. Just another note of advice.
What have you heard?
You any good? You're not good?
You're not referring to a story? Okay, never mind. We'll
did
talk
you?
about this one off air.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel like this one rings a bell.
Did Maury set me up for this?
No, you set yourself up. You told me this story already.
Oh, I did? Okay. Yeah.
King 10. Wilson limping. Zobian content to see 3 cheap. Deuce 5. This one doesn't rate to get altogether exciting. Little 100K request for the middle. Out of Zobian.
Oh, you know,
I didn't see this one coming.
I didn't really either. I suspected it's usually just check call, but Wilson has different types of ideas than most.
And it's little glimpses like that just show you that fight is still very much just beneath the surface in that camp, despite the fact that it's been kind of a challenging card distribution for Brandon on the day. And now here he is, second in chips. Bookended by Zobian and Rheem. Activating for the minimum. Rheem flicks in the yellow. Offsuit connectors. Look up at King 9 tray. Gutter for Wilson.
And for the first time, I believe, at this final table, Brandon Wilson, now our chip leader.
Yeah, I was just thinking how improbable that statement feels like it should be right now. But when you consider the last 4 years, 5 years that this man has put together, just look at the ascent from 22 on. 7 figures in 24, 25, and 26. Life very much in the fast lane for the $15 million man.
That ascension will continue, by the way. Everyone I've talked to, you know, dialed in with sort of the high stakes scene.
He's got
said this kid is really just a force to be reckoned with. He's the future is very bright.
Got the right stuff
for Wilson.
And, you know, Chino's been around a long time. I think game recognized game. He's looking over as the OG and recognizing that this is a lot of future talent that he's up against. And current talent. Forgive me, I don't mean to suggest that, you know.
It's future, and also, you know, he outworks everybody as far as the study.
Brandon?
Or at least I shouldn't say everybody, but he outworks most. And he also has the kind of the natural stuff that really others do not possess. There's so many of these younger kids, nonstop study, but when they sit at the table, especially when the cameras are rolling and the lights are the brightest, they just can't perform, Ali. You know, they don't have it. That experience, that intuition, it's natural for Brandon.
You know, everybody's on a journey of a different pace, and I think your work ethic has a little something to do with it. Sometimes extenuating circumstances in life can play a role. But I think on the whole, the young pros that come into the studio and find themselves up against these fields, it doesn't take long for them to recognize what's required to take it to the next level and to forge some of the relationships that are going to help them do it. Because as much as we talk about Zobian being a lone wolf, he has his camps, his study groups, the people with whom he can talk the game at the highest of levels and, you know, formulate some strategies and some ideas, iron out some of the, you know, rough edges of his game, and just continue to sharpen the blade. There's Rheem limping. Wilson happy to see 3 without any further cost. Not happy to look up at ace 8-7 though with his 9-3. Bottom pair for Chino. Question asked. Look at Wilson. He's peeling, and he has picked up a gutter the same time that Rheem does. The difference, of course, these 7s, which are still barreling. And Wilson says you got it. And I think that was running a little experiment there for just that 100K min bet on the flop as to whether or not Chino was going to fire. And if he didn't, maybe we try to steal.
Yeah, he was, you know, playing a little street poker there. That's the kind of adjustment, right? The stuff that Wilson does right there against Chino, knowing the tendencies, like, you know what, I'm going to float this guy out of position with 9-3-0.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take it when he shuts down on turn. What was the term? Hood poker? You remember that phrase a few years
do.
ago? You know, that's kind of the hood poker, street poker. That
Same concept.
Yeah. The best players just do both. They've got the theory down, but yet they know how to tap in to the streets.
You know, I agree with you. And it's not to say that we haven't seen some incredibly successful players who don't feel like they've got that gear quite as much. But for me, from an all-round standpoint, I think it's important to have a little bit of that in your repertoire. And a little bit of this flop for both players here. Middle pair for Zobian and a limped one pre versus the open-ender. It is Chino allowed to speak. Does so to the tune of 1 1/4. Aram calls. Third diamond says hello. Both players with a flush draw. Rheem has that covered. Does check it back, though, to ensure he can realize equity. And he fans while Zobian finds a third 8. Four and a quarter. Not getting paid, of course, by the 10 high, although it's always within Chino to rise up and do something unexpected, and I think that's in part what makes him exciting and dangerous to play against. And Zobian has done well overall to navigate being to the man's right on the day. Has navigated himself back into a 3 million chip stack for the lead. 350. The declaration, 3.5x from this ace-4. Suited queen for Brandon. Wants to play. 8-4 deuce. Flush draw for Wilson. Pair of 4s for Rheem. Very consistently playing brisk post-flop. Bringing 250 into 800.
If Wilson goes with it, Chino might call it off with that 4. This can get in. Stacks are so shallow.
Well, Wilson does not go for it, but he doesn't go away, of course. Now he finds a queen to improve the far more deceptive way. Top pair. And a stranglehold on the equity. Pacino's reaching for chips, and he says jam.
What?
Oh, boy. And he gets called. And that is not how I expected this one to play out, Brent.
Not at all.
You know, that turn is supposed to be dry. And I think that's the thought for Chino is...
I wish you just shoved flop. Would have been the same thing.
And yeah, he's affirming what you mentioned, Brent, is
Yeah.
that if Wilson would have shoved flop, it would have been the same thing. But here we are in a 4.2 million chip pot. Chino Rheem all in, needs to find the ace or 4. Instead, he finds a third place finish as Wilson finds a big chip lead and a ticket to heads up against Zobian. So $128,100 going Chino's way, but that one came out of left field.
It did, sort of didn't know what to do and went with the high variance approach and just said, I'm all in. Ran into the goods held by Brandon Wilson.
That he did. It's a payday that's going to take Chino up and over $20 million for his career. And it's going to take us to a short break, but when we come back, it'll be Wilson versus Zobian for the crown in event number 9.
It is a new time. It is a new chapter. We are here live in the brand new PokerGO campus. No gamble, no future. Hanks, myself, and the face of FS1, Nick Wright, are going to bring to all of you the best poker show, combining poker, combining sports, and sports cards.
Let's get to work.
What the hell is combining all 3 industries to create the best poker show on planet Earth? Thank you.
Thank you.
With the abrupt departure of Chino Rheem, the stage is now set for a heads-up battle here inside the PokerGO studio in event number 9 of 15K. The second to last of this year's US Poker Open. Ali Najad and Brent Hanks on the call. And on the chip lead is Brandon Wilson. 15 wins, 6 losses. That is an absolute powerhouse of a batting average. Whereas for Aram Zobian, not quite the same experience when he gets down to mano a mano. 5 wins, 12 losses for him. $183,000 as both players enjoy a 55K pay ladder, but they're playing for north of 100,000 in differential from here, almost $110 as we get the cards in the air. Button for Wilson, suited ace. 3-2 chip lead. Choosing to limp.
Very fitting that Wilson and Zobian ended up heads up at this final table. They started 1 and 2 in chips, now have a chance to battle it out.
Check back from the Jack 3. Both players with a straight draw now on the 6-high board.
And Ali, doesn't it sort of feel like Brandon Wilson has just been quietly hunting, stalking his prey?
It doesn't feel like it's exactly what's been going on. This is not a feeling, it's an observation.
Yeah.
And now we observe the 7 on the turn.
Just a very methodical, tactful approach, giving him this chip lead.
And by the way, you could make similar assessments of how Zobian has gone about his business here on the day.
I would normally agree, but Zobian got it in for his life, or near his life, pretty bad, and found a way with ace-9 versus ace-queen.
Yeah, you're right.
So, was on his way out, but this is poker. Luck is allowed. That's why we all love the game, of course.
Sure.
And here we are.
I really don't like this angle.
Are we drawing?
Looks like Wilson's he's decided to relocate himself.
I'm not sitting there, he said, yeah. Just relocating.
Or do we just, oh, we don't need a draw. What am I saying? We're heads up.
But there will be 3 minutes, so heads up. So we're still not 5 minutes.
Well, then we can, well, actually, you should, do you draw heads up? Sorry, you can't time the button.
I don't know.
Do we draw heads up, Alan? Are we drawing?
You draw, but it's
At 3 minutes. Okay, sorry.
So which box you want to be? This one?
It doesn't matter. I could scan them here. It's easy.
You can use 7 if you want, but
It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, 7. Like, how can I pass on a 7? Every 7.
I'll scan this.
you can also use that one if you want.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
they told me. So,
Either or? Wow.
yeah, I know. They both pick a 1 and a 7.
Second hand of heads up. Dust bunny for Zobian. Hard 6 for Wilson.
All in.
Wow, he just piles.
Yeah, these little pairs effectively for 30 bigs, which is what Zobian had.
2 for 2. So far, so good for Wilson.
Do you have a leaderboard, Sweat? Have you cashed the series?
Yeah, I cashed.
Just mini?
No, final table.
What'd you finish?
I got 4th.
You know, we could spring for like a real eagle to just be on a perch.
I'm in. Next
Out
year,
there.
it seems like a must.
425.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how easy it is going to be to handle chips with one of those big leather mitts on, but like chip leader should get the eagle. As the event progresses, you just
Is
get
it-
it on your shoulder.
Oh, I thought you meant as like the grand trophy. You
No,
just
no,
win
no, not
win a pet eagle.
No, not that, man. Meanwhile, Zobian draws up 4 1/4 as he taxes the limp from Wilson. 2 clubs, 2 9s, and an 8. Wilson with that baby suited ace has the best hand still. Heartless texture. Focus shifting to that 10 for Aram. Following through for 275 now into this 950. Paired boards are the type, especially when we're heads up, that we could remain curious on with an ace, but Wilson just decides to keep things simple moving forward. Nice pickup there for Zobian.
I saw this card. I know what it is.
Well, this is how things shook out. Clemen Deng, who was number 3 coming in on the day in the overall series race, out in 6th. Then it was the turn of Nick Seward, 5th place finish. Marius Gierse, ace queen versus ace 9. Not the pivotal pot for Zobian. We saw Chino go ham with an ace 4. That would lead to a bronze medal for him. And a heads-up battle that we're seeing play out here between Aram and Brandon. 8 deuce offsuit, falling into the limp category. Wilson allowing it with a suited ace. King Jack 3 rainbow. Two quick checks, second 3. Wilson still not inclined to barrel. And just a polite request for the pot here from Zobian. Somewhat insistent at 2/3 sizing. Brandon stays intact. Now the board double pairs.
Board.
Yeah. Zobian all done.
Yeah,
telling
just
stories.
a quick give up. Says, okay, yep. Call me on the turn. That run out. Hope the board's good.
75, 125.
Blinds working their way north. 75, 125.
25, so, okay, now it's up to Yeah, it's 1 chip's a call.
All in.
All in.
Jam from the ace-jack. These sorts of behaviors in terms of jamming when we're
Oh, if
this
you
deep.
misclick. Do you actually ever misclick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
I misclick online kind of a lot. Misread the board sometimes.
I was just going to say, it points to the idea that you can do a little bit of trapping. And
yeah, maybe that
perhaps play for the
ace-jack
title.
was not well served. It's just a jam.
Listen, far be it from me to question
Right.
the procedures of either of these guys. But you did hear Zobian asking Wilson whether or not he actually misclicks. And some vulnerability there, as even these guys do slip up from time to time. Slipping up to 3 1/4 to see this flop is Wilson, who defended and finds bottom pair, more than we can say, for the jack high.
200.
Check calls 200 on an ace-queen high board. Obviously, Zobian doesn't love to see that. And on the continuation of things he doesn't love to see, the 4 of hearts, which doesn't help him whatsoever. But is he going to continue to lean? He's got this thing worked up to almost 1.2.
Well, if he bets, he can apply a ton of pressure to all that 7x, even some of the queen. He's going to go for it.
725.
And that lowly pair of 7s just forced out of there. Nice follow through across 2 streets for Zobian. We touched during this broadcast on the fearlessness that he brings to the affair and kind of the necessity of that attribute if you're going to be playing at these stakes. You just can't be afraid to get it wrong. Chino, 3rd place exit. That fearless jam with the ace-4.
Yeah. Combination of fearless and sort of just YOLO. Unclear what to do in that spot. Yeah. Now what, Zobian? Right around 30 bigs, just under 2 10s. So much of a hand heads up.
525.
Anything suited is pretty intriguing in heads up, especially if you've got a Broadway suit. 9 deuce, I suppose, must be good. Obviously, Brandon Wilson is in.
No. Not in terms of his relationship with his King 6-4 board. 1 overcard to the 2 10s, which did shoot it up to 5 1/4 in the face of the button limp. Now deliberating. As you see that intensity on Zobian's face.
10 seconds. 320.
There are so many parallels about these two as we see the simple release from Wilson. You know, very mild-mannered, very pleasant to be around, but also just ferocious when it comes to being operators out there on the felt.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that 5 in 12 heads-up record for Aram Zobian. Now, this last win was a year ago, back in 2024. So It's, excuse me, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And a drought like that, you know, I would imagine, especially if some of those L's were hung on him in the interim, it can leave you potentially questioning whether or not there's something to be shored up. Unclear, of course, how often did he come in with the chip lead. That's what those Octopi poker stats kind of help elucidate. You know, what was his expected finish? Well, hang on now.
I think we had the same hand.
Oh, interesting. Zobian identifying, of course, that King Baby offsuit tends to behave this way for Wilson, but it was an ace. But yeah, I mean, for Zobian, you know, he would really love to pick up this W, in particular against a player like Brandon, whose last win came just a few months ago in February of this year, and who has all the respect of his peers in short order. Makes victory all that much sweeter. So it really feels earned on a higher level. Wilson sticking with this button limp strategy. Zobian checks back. Jack 7-3. It's all Wilson with top two. Easy takedown there for Wilson.
Probably two worlds here for these threes from Zobian. He opted to limp in. Could have also just open ripped. I know it sounds nuts, but 30 bigs effective. Gutter now for Wilson. Does have the diamond as well. Here they come.
So adding to the gutter is Wilson with this flush draw. Board pairing cards obviously preferable for Zobian to the alternative.
What?
I mean, I think you're supposed to yell 4 in that situation as Wilson almost sustained.
Would have been our first, I think, concussion at a final
Yeah,
table.
that was
very close.
The button came in hot there. Threes did not, of course.
Here it is, replay, yeah. Oh.
Nice lighthearted moment between the boys. Deuce, deuce, 6 rainbow flop here as the dominant 7 of Wilson remains that way. And again, Wilson has had a number of holdings on the button that could have been worthy of a raise, but electing to play small ball pre against Zobian and then kind of decide as things proceed?
I just think he is so comfortable post. An ace-7 off, you know. You mix in plenty of limps with that type of hand.
Action free across flop and turn. Well, I'm not going to hang that one on the mantle. Well, not on the mantle, but on the clothes rack is where you can hang some of our merch and reach for it anytime you're going in to play some cards, so just look your best. It's all available at the PokerGO shop, official apparel from shows like High Stakes Poker and No Gamble, No Future, along with a 15% offer at present using promo code USPO26. Visit shop.pokergo.com today. Wilson, this time with the similar hand and the big little, activating to send the other into the bin after a button limp. Heads up definitely been skewing Wilson's way thus far. As if you're just joining us, this is event 9 of 10 of the 2026 US Poker Open. Ali Nejad alongside Brent Hanks, and these two crushers who have definitely put on a show across the day. Stisson again.
Always has ace-7.
But just to have an ace heads up this frequently is a real feat. And card distribution does have a lot to do with outcomes when you get down to heads up. There's no question about it. Jack 5 failing to hook up with this King-Queen 4 board after checking back. Quarter, and chips right to be headed Wilson's way yet again. He started off a 3-2 chip leader, and he's right back there basically. Biggest career cash for Brandon came in December of 2024. That was a $602,000 payday. The Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open, 25K high roller. Taking first in that one. Second biggest payday was a 6th place finish, but in a 50K, and that came last year at Triton Jeju. Look at Wilson, just all over Aram. Not being allowed to limp his buttons. The flow of chips has just been steady in B-Dub's direction.
It's just surgical how this guy performs. And I'm not throwing shade at Zobian at all, but Wilson to me is just on a different level.
I mean, let's not throw any shade Zobian's way. He's on a level of his own for sure.
I think I just said exactly that.
Yeah, okay.
By the way, the sunglass approach from Zobian, that's fire. Look at that. I mean, that's a good look right there. I'm a fan of the shades combined with the, what's the name of the hat again?
The keffiyeh.
The keffiyeh.
You know, the only, for me, what's somewhat missing here is some dates and a bergamot tea. A samovar.
Maybe a
would
little
be
incense
terrific.
burning in the background.
I could see, yeah. The Love Guru vibes.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're with me. Dates, a little, you know, ornate teacup, you know, and stirring it, by the way. Famously, Brazil's Pedro Gargnani, I think, likes to go with the little espressos, and then when the action's on him, he'll just stir it with a sugar stick. And very villainous vibes, too. You know. This is, if you didn't know what a sweetheart of a human being he was, this is a man who you walk into the poker room and you're like, I don't want to lay a beat on this dude.
No. Yeah.
Right?
What a
You know?
great human.
But, you know, looks like a man who could cast a spell. You know, just leave you cursed.
I wouldn't put it past him.
We do what we have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it? Celery juice? What?
I'll tell you what, it's good for you. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And it's something you probably wouldn't like.
Nope.
You know. Good for Zobian to finally have a hand that is outperforming the opposition when he's in the big. Queen 8 against Queen 5, and wouldn't you know it, Wilson smacks top pair cleanly. This is going to grow tiresome for Zobian. And I wouldn't fault him if at some point he felt as though the frequency with which he's facing Wilson just taking pots and having it, he's going to begin to question with something like a check raise or a lead.
That's what you had?
No. Just guessing.
Good news is you're going to get to see every single hand.
No shot.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Queen 8 again. This time on the puck. Now we're seeing some truly abusive behavior.
Yeah, he just really brings it both in and out of position. 9-6 off now, going to work.
And you know, Zobian just can't get him, he can't let himself get run over. So he is going to dig in. Boy, a pot needs to go his way sooner than later. King 7-5. Gutter for Wilson. The better of the spade. A little north of 1 million in the middle. And he's going to carry on. 400 and take it. I'll tell you what, you know, as wonderful as Zobian's demeanor is and as much work as he has put into it, he is still human. And frustration certainly is something that he is fighting to keep at bay right now. Because he wants to show up. I mean, he's a fierce competitor. He doesn't want to just get run over out here. And I think the opportunity to kind of prove things to any doubters that might be out there, of whom I can expect there are many, but more so to prove something to himself, too. That 5-12 record is pesky. Heads up.
Hasn't had a win since 2024.
Right.
You know, yeah.
These things matter. pot.
Check, check.
Ace queen 4. Zobian finding bottom pair for the lead.
125.
Wilson sprinkling a single big.
Call. Check.
Zobian making the call and the jack connecting with Brandon. This is starting to get uglier and uglier for Aram. Wilson with the check back here, and now he finds 2 pair on the end. Backdoor flush arrives. Zobian just desperate to get to showdown for free with 6 1/4 out there. Unless he feels like maybe
it's kind of
he can
strange.
target something.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd sort of be turning a 4 into a bluff.
I mean, we have no diamonds in our hand.
If he does, he's hoping to just target a queen, I think, or maybe just Jack X.
Yeah,
but this is not going to work.
No, this 500K is setting off the smoke detectors. You wonder if Wilson feels the need at this sizing to raise his jacks and 9s. Straight's possible, diamonds of course, which he 2 unblocks. Perhaps better 2 pair. You like a flat here, Brent?
He's in between, obviously, call or just jam. I think he's deciding if, those backdoor diamonds could just be there. And if we do jam, what hands are calling us? Like ace X, I guess, exactly. You're putting into a tough spot. Remember, Brandon Wilson bet the flop. Zobian called. There's just call. Yeah, he's thinking there's not enough hands that really can call.
And of course, Zobian less and less optimistic about the prospects of the 4 ever being good.
I wasn't folding.
I can see that. I wasn't calling a shove.
Yeah. I think they just settled it for us.
There is a helplessness when you can't produce a winner and you're playing heads up that nobody is immune to. Gunfight after gunfight.
Did one go over there?
You keep showing up with a number 2 pencil.
Down to about 13 bigs now is Zobian.
He was the chip leader coming into the day. Brandon Wilson was second. And now the gap between them is as large as it has ever been. 4.3 million in separation. Wilson again with the better of the holdings pre. And again, imposing tariffs. And chips exported from Zobian. Across to Wilson yet again.
Yeah, things can go sideways in a hurry, playing heads up. But at the moment, this is a massacre.
Yeah, and by the way, when we say that, it would be unfair to assign that reality to Zobian's procedures altogether, because it really hasn't been. He took a swing with the 4s there. He's shown fight. You have to do such things. But if Wilson was in Zobian's seat, he would not be sat with 6.1 right now.
Oh, no.
That's a fact. And now
Better
it's a
cards,
jam and
please.
take. Yeah, see?
I looked at paint.
And ace.
Yeah, this is Painfully
All right, I'll
one-sided
get it
card
this time.
distribution.
Habitual.
I gotta throw better.
Well, for all of the L's that he has sustained, a double for Zobian, and he can breathe again, but he's dangerously close
All in.
to not being able to make decisions beyond these as he jams the queen 5 and tries to put something together. Snap fold from Wilson.
Oh, a double up,
Slightly
it's game
better.
on.
I think you can do
Again.
better, though.
I'll always take better cards.
Sometimes you just gotta ask. I asked Clyde yesterday if he thinks he can change outcomes or not in the deck. If he roots for someone.
Are those toe shoes? You know what I'm talking about?
On Zobian? Yeah, I
Vibram,
believe
whatever.
so. Yeah.
Wow, I haven't seen those in a minute.
He and Lucky Chewy,
Yeah?
I think, wear those, the toeies.
Okay.
Who makes those? Skechers?
I thought it was a company called Vibram. V-I-B-R-A-M, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's them.
125.
I don't know if I could rock those, Sully. You know, the toeies.
Yeah. You might look like you're doing a handstand. What with those little foot serpents protruding your hooves. Meanwhile, open-ended is Zobian here. Wilson limped. Just took a
Check.
0 equity swing with 6 tray. See if he's all done vying for this one. Oh, no, he isn't. And this is kind of nasty now.
475.
Zobian just 1.2 back. 475 is the bet, and he's just ushered out of there with what was the best hand and an open-ender. And you feel his pain. If you've ever played heads-up poker, you know all too well how brutal what Aram Zobian is going through right now is. And when you put it up against the backdrop of that 2-year drought of victory, that 5-12 record coming into heads-up, it certainly is a lot to try to overcome emotionally for him.
That being said, though, you know, first, second, and third, and third place, that pays the bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
And the king high
make sure you
pays
say
dividends
call.
here as he did jam. King 8 limp. Would imagine Zobian content to C3. Sure enough, there's a check back from the 10-4. 9-7 tray, swing and a miss yet again for Zobian. King high in front, also failing to connect with the board. But some interactions there. Boy, this is Groundhog Day status. Wilson, position bet, take it.
We don't draw?
We drew.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Thank you.
Bad news
Thank you.
Come on, Matthew.
for Zobian. 75-150. Perhaps the good news is the dealer push is Zobian looking for any little disruption to what has been the all Wilson show. You there, buddy? You with me? What are you looking up over there?
The last win for Zobian was at the U.S. Poker Open back in 2024. It was the 15K event. Exactly what we are watching here today.
Yeah.
So,
and that helped propel him to the overall series victory back in 2024.
That's exactly right. He had a first, second, and a third place finish, along with a little sixth place dangler in the final event.
Well, head on over to globalpoker.com and get involved with the U.S. Poker Open Online Edition, which runs now through April 26th. Daily tourneys, big guarantees, and a shot at a Vegas prize package all await you. Don't miss it. It's the U.S. Poker Open online at globalpoker.com.
Will history repeat itself for Aram Zobian?
That's a long shot. As things stand, he limps the button. Finds top pair.
Wait a minute, top pair.
Is this the first hand of the new dealer?
Yeah, I don't remember that ever happening.
Yeah, you feel like you got to adjust your picture here. Surely we have the hands backwards.
Pot's 370. 450. It's 450.
Wilson. Very high frequency button barrels. And you know, the other issue for Zobian, when he's been folding as often as he has, Brent, is when your chips do find the middle here, Wilson just instantly is on notice. You know, he thinks, okay, guy finally has a piece. He's going to be less inclined to think you're light.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Just watching this one, a gut shot now acquired by Wilson, and sort of wondering how much ace X he would be limping on the button. And I think it is reasonable, right? If we're trying to trap our opponent in the big blind, given the stack depth starting the hand, but instead we will knuckle. Imagine if the 3 slides in.
Well, instead it's the 4, which pairs Wilson, but that's not enough. Backdoor hearts showing up as well after things went check, check. Yeah, the 3 on the end would have been.
Just night, night. Okay.
And it would have been apropos of what we've witnessed, too.
Right.
It's like, okay, I guess the poker gods had other ideas for me on the day. Boy, that feels like the most meaningful pot that Zobian's picked up in recent memory of the few that he has. It does put him up to near 2 million, though. Slightly more navigable. 12 bigs. Zobian connecting with the 4 on the paired flop here.
Is this a heater that we're witnessing?
Well, the temperature setting's still pretty low, all things considered, if it is. But stringing together a couple, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
I just learned, by the way, that the Wild Stallion, Jimmy D, is on his way to play the 25K championship event as we speak.
Okay.
Yes. Could he take home a Golden Eagle?
The smaller.
Yes.
You know, an eaglet.
An eaglet? Yeah.
Yeah. he won't be in the running for the big bird.
All in.
Running all the way into 2 million plus with King 8 from Zobian is Wilson after limping. Case closed quickly. Seven, 3 deuce. Both players hitting the 7 with the advantage belonging to Zobian. 2 pair versus top pair. This could very well be the opportunity. You see the check back from Zobian. King on the turn.
This is really sort of a cooler scenario, and well done by Zobian navigating on the flop. Had he bet, though, Ali, perhaps some more action would have developed. Instead, now under-repped with 2 pair. Here, we must now begin putting chips in.
I'm not wishing this upon Zobian, but for some reason, and I think I know that reason, it's the pot frequency going to Wilson. The king or tray on the end feels like it could be in play.
What about the queen?
Yeah, sure, but specifically the king or the 3. Obviously, the 3 would wind up being a chop. The king would give it to Wilson as it would counterfeit. Not that the 3 doesn't, but 3 1/4, another 650 into the middle, and safe is the 4 on the end. Now let's see how greedy Aram will seek to be.
Well, he will, without a doubt, be greedy. Could he even find the overbet?
All is yellows.
1-1.
Full pot.
This could get paid.
I tend to agree with you. You know, I wonder if Wilson is considering other things, but no, the queen 7, just too much hand. And get a load of, on the back end of that, Brent, for all of the sense of misery that we feel like was enshrouding that seat and those outcomes, Zobian has just grabbed the chip lead.
Yes, he has. Patience pays off, and it helps to hit a flop.
Yeah, it does. And, of course, make sure that your opponent hits enough of a flop to be a customer. A 4 big blind advantage for the resilient Aram Zobian, who can finally shake off all of those pots that he lost and get to the matter of trying to take down event 9 here at his 3rd straight final table of the USPO. Ace on the button for Wilson. Did Zobian just say all in?
Hold on.
Yes, he did, and Wilson's going to call him. And that came out of nowhere. Just one hand into his chip lead, and he gets trapped for all of it. 7.3. Now, granted, he'll still have 325,000 left, but this is the match effectively. Can he put a beat on? Top pair versus middle pair. Zobian looking to close this one out now in the driver's seat, 4-1 favorite. And now an even greater advantage as Brandon Wilson, who was so dominant, so steady, faces elimination unless he can find a 9 or an ace on the end here, which he can't.
Yeah, man.
All right, good game.
King's up for good measure.
Congrats.
Thank you. You played great.
As Zobian humbly and deservedly giving credit where credit is due. Wilson understandably dejected. That 183,000 not going to go too far to leave him feeling better about what suddenly came out of nowhere as a second place finish for him. 292.8 and a title for Aram Zobian. 2 years removed from the last time he found the summit and planted a flag. Congrats to him.
Out of the woodworks. It took 2 hands, essentially, for Zobian to get it done. You and I, we basically wrote him off.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody out there that was soaking this one up was doing anything different, but we did point out how quickly tables can turn, and turn they did, unfortunately, for Brandon Wilson. But the day belongs to Aram Zobian, 3rd straight final table, and the lion's share of the points toward the overall series title, 2 years removed from one. Could he suddenly come out of nowhere when the 10th and final event sees its victor hoisting both the eaglet and what looks like perhaps a good luck talisman of sorts.
Notice the shirt as well, Children's Foundation.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're proud
Yep.
of their benefactor, who certainly has made some strides toward some further charitable contributions toward the foundation. Well, that'll be our contribution for the day, as we have just one event remaining in the 2026 US Poker Open. Don't miss it. It'll come your way tomorrow. Who will be at that FT? Only time will tell. But congratulations to Aram Zobian for the victory here in event number 9. On behalf of the whole team here in Las Vegas, I'm my partner Brent Hanks. This is Ali Najad saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow from the USPO.